title, and then Marielle will talk about Philippines, and then Ambar Wati. I think it will for each of you will be around 5 minutes, yeah, 5 minutes, or three or 5 minutes. And then we will go to breakout, yeah, breakout room. This actually happened from 14 to 15. The breakout room should end at before, yeah, ends before what is it, before 13:30, and then each of representative of the participants will speak for 3 minutes. Not participants, yeah, of each group, right? So for 6 minutes, and then the facilitator wrap up. Is it clear?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think we have to correct the spelling for Marielle's name, not with A but with R. Marielle.
Mariale.
Yes.
Like
A, the second letter.
M and then A.
Oh,
okay.
M-A.
Yes.
Thank you.
Marielle, yeah. Yes.
And the breakout room. The breakout room should end before 15, not 13.
Before oh yes. Before 14, yeah.
14, yeah.
14:30.
Yes.
Is there any other correction? Sorry, Yang, for it's I'm still learning the Philippine language and name.
So there will be how many groups, Pak Wija?
It's gonna be 10, I guess. Yeah.
10 groups,
we will divide the groups. For each group will be 5. So if we have, let's say, 50 people, then 10. If we only have like 40, then 8. Yeah, 8 groups.
So there will be about 8 to 10 presenters, right?
Yes. And so I suppose that after I introduce you, then Juan and Marielle and Ambar will take over the session until the wrap up. Now that we have three facilitators, right? How to avoid conflict? What is it? To avoid people speak together. So the order in the beginning will be Juan, and then Marielle, and then Ambar. So your job is to actually trigger, yeah, the audience. Yeah, perhaps for instance, Bu Juan can start with in the case of Indonesia, then blah 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 blah. Actually, Juan, we are actually in the same age, so we can just call each other by name, right? It's okay.
But I look younger than you.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, but when I read your curriculum vitae, we're actually just the same. So, but I agree that you look younger than me, much younger.
Don't worry, we are the younger generation.
But don't forget that Yaton says that we have to define young in different way, right? In your perspective. Okay, so Juan will talk first, and then Yang, and then Ambar. How is it? Is it okay for you guys?
Okay, yes.
Why Ambar is not the first? Because then people will say, "Oh, it's because it's Indonesia, and then Indonesia is the first, right?" So to make it fair, Malaysia first, and then Philippines and Indonesia. And then after after Ambar finish her maybe her view or her provocation, yeah, to the audience, then we enter the breakout rooms. And in that breakout rooms, of course, who is the representative of each group, let it flow, yeah. So for instance, Yang or Ambar or Wan enters room 1 or 2 or 3, yeah, for instance. You can choose the new one. It doesn't have to be you who act as the representative of the group. The reason is because when they get out of the breakout rooms, you will act as the facilitators again, and you will wrap it up in the end, right? So I suggest that you better avoid to be the representative of the group.
That's right.
The reason is so that more people talk, yeah, in this session, right? And in the wrap up, Yang has kindly agreed to wrap up the points of its participants, right? So perhaps Yang will be the last speaker of the facilitators, who will then read or maybe explain the wrap up of the whole session. And Ambar and also Wan, I guess you can also wrap up actually, but you know, or give comments. Or how is it? Of course, I'm improvising here. How does it sound for you guys?
Okay.
Yeah, that's great.
That's great.
Does it sound
just a question, Mas
Yes.
Media. So, as the representatives, we are expected to speak at the beginning or after the breakout session, or both?
So you know, both. So
Both.
as the facilitators, you speak first. After I do the opening, right? Then I introduce you as the facilitators, and then Wan will speak about her experience digital democracy in Malaysia, 3 minutes. Yang, you speak as well, 3 minutes, and Amber 3 minutes. So that's the example of what we look for actually in the breakout room, right? What's the problem of the democracy? And then in the breakout room, we make it richer, right? You discuss with peers. And then we're discussing the problems as well as the solution, right? And then when breakout rooms ends at 40:30, we have all the representatives of each group. They speak one by one, right? For 3 minutes. Representative of each group speak for 3 minutes, and then wrap up from the facilitators. So for this wrap up, Yang, you agree to, as the participants representative are speaking, you make a notes, yeah, and then you make it the summary, right? And maybe you can present it in a PowerPoint. If it's not possible, then you just say it, right? And then I think you first. No, so I changed my mind. Yeah, you first, and then Ambar and Wan. I guess you can add to what Marielle conclude. What do you think?
Okay.
Is it okay?
Okay, I'm okay. It's great.
Good. Ambar, is it okay? Have you get my points clearly?
Yeah, so if I'm not mistaken, when the wrap-up session, it will be Marielle who's going to speak first, and
Yes.
she will wrap up the discussion from the breakout room, right? And then it's my turn, and then one turn.
Yes, indeed. And then that will be the end of the session of the participants. And then we'll go here.
Okay, Mas Widya, so the speaker for each group will be different from the three of us, right? Because we want to give the time for the other participants to also speak up in this summer
That's
course.
right. And that is what expected. Yeah. Of course there will be maybe, but I hope not. You know, you're entering the room, 5 of you, and they're all silent. You know, but I hope not.
No, no.
So your job is to trigger the other people to speak and to, you know, to be brave to be the representative of the group. So you can say, for instance, you know, I am not allowed to be the representative of the group because blah blah blah. You can say it like that. I think. Mm-hmm.
Is it possible for this to be happen in just 1 hour? I'm afraid we might, you know, drag the time. Yeah.
1 hour. Yes, of course. You know, extension is always expected, not expected, yeah, anticipated. I mean, we understand in this event like this, actually, especially in the closing, it can be more than that. However, Pak Gulam will make sure that the breakup session will be only 15 minutes, right, Pak Gulam?
Yes.
It's set automatically by Zoom, so you know. Zoom is set it for breakout room 15 minutes, so it will end automatically 15 minutes too. At least that one we can control. However, you know, when each of the representative of the participant speak, maybe we can extend, but it's tolerable. Yeah, you know. And then after you guys, after we get insights from the participants about their views on the problems of digital democracy in their areas, then we will continue. Damar will talk about a political manifesto, and then Gabriel, and then that will be it. And then there will be executive director of LPDIS, and I am the director of the Center for Media and Democracy. We have executive director who will speak as well, and then from DIPONEGORO University, and that would be it. Yeah. Is there any other question or clarification, perhaps? Is it clear? Clear. Great. So it's actually.
Mas Vijay, for the wrapping up, we just have to summarize what transpired in the discussion. Would that be enough?
That's right. And don't be afraid of wrong. You know, there is nothing such as wrong, right? Because wrapping up means we interpret, like, right? So there's a subjectivity. And your wrap up can be, you know, can be different perhaps with the actual discussion, right? Based on perspective of the participant, for instance, or you know, because it's subjective. That's why it's good to have Juan and also Amber to add your points, your wrap up. That's why we need the 3 of you, and we choose both of the 3 of you are women because, you know, to say that the typical of the future leader will be woman, not men. And we're, I think, happy to be the men to give way for the woman to be the leader. Right, Mas Amang and Pak Gulam?
Can I just the participant joining the meeting room?
Oh, it's already suddenly 2.
Yes.
Okay, great.
Okay. Okay. Voila.
You know, it's a tricky thing about, you know, virtual background. Yeah? When I open my code, then people cannot see me, you know, because the white is not compatible with the virtual background. So this kind of thing. Hello, Mas Gabriel. Hello, Elsitra. Yeah. How are you? Hi, Sarah.
Hello, Pak Wija.
Yes, how are you?
Hi, everyone. I'm fine. I'm trying to put the background. I forgot. How can you do that? How can you put the background?
Yeah.
On the video.
But you already did, right?
Yes, once, but I don't know now. I don't remember.
Tu vas dans vidéo, tu cliques sur la petite flèche.
You click your video, right? And then there's a
Choisis une
arrow
fenêtre.
there. You click the arrow on the video in the left.
No.
And then
Yeah. Okay, I get it.
you got it? Great.
Thank you.
So else, it doesn't need a PhD to be able to put on the virtual background.
You're roasting Mas Gabriel again.
Roasting. It's gone. I think Damar can explain this. Why, Damar? Why Gabriel view his screen is like that?
Saya terlalu putih kali.
No, I think it has something to do with the lights in your room, Gabriel.
Yeah, probably.
So when it's too bright or too dark in your place, then it doesn't work.
The same as my situation, right, Mas Wijan?
Yeah. Yes. So Gabriel, it's okay if you don't use the virtual background.
You don't like it like this?
Yeah, it still cannot see you.
It's fine.
No, it's fine. Yes. So Magulam is already recorded, yeah, but we're still.
Okay, then I will start the session.
No,
okay?
not yet. Not yet. Else, we will start.
Still waiting for
In 5 minutes. We will wait for
Mr. Teguh.
No. Mr. Teguh will come later. It's okay.
Oh,
so we will wait for another 5 minutes, yeah, for the participants.
Oh, all right. Halo Mbak Truli.
So what time is it there?
Halo. Jam 9:02.
Oh, okay.
Maaf ya, zombie.
Jam 9 ya.
Hari Sabtu pagi.
Oh, it's okay.
Yeah.
So it's Saturday morning, yeah, there.
Yes. Hello everyone. Good morning everyone. Good afternoon perhaps.
Zombies. Nice jokes.
Zombies. Sarah is saying something. Zombies. Thank you, Sarah. Yes.
Nice.
What is zombies?
Zombies, not zombies, but zombies.
Yeah, that's the word for someone too much zoom, yeah, Sarah?
Yeah, like Mas Wija.
Yeah, I think I'm a zombies, right?
Gulam as well.
Yeah. And some times ago, the group, the Cranberries, wrote a song for us, yeah, Zombies. Is that the title?
I think we all became zombies this last 14
Yes.
days.
Yeah, zombie. As we're waiting for the participants, I will make sure that Elsitra got the program, yeah, else and everyone. This is the rundown for today, yeah. And this will be we'll start with opening and introduction by me, and then the facilitators, Wan Rohila, Marielle, and Ambar Wati will take over the participant session, and the breakout room ends at before 40:30. and then the representative of each group speaks for 3 minutes and then wrap up. And then we continue with the speakers. First, it will be me and Damar, and then Gabriel, Sarah, and Truly, and then Fajar Nur Sahid, Teguh Yuwono, question and answer, and in the end, Ismit Haddad.
Oh, indeed. Okay.
Do you get it?
I get it.
Great.
I get it.
Nice. Okay. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the final days. It's I think we will start now, right? What is it? Hello, Mas Anthony, and then I see here as well a lot of friends. Yeah, welcome as well, Mbak Anita Wahid. Yeah, welcome everyone. I think we can start now. Elsitra, it's your turn.
All right. Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the final day of the summer course. I would like to welcome for every participant here, welcome, and also the co-host and host, welcome too. My name is Elsitra. I am an associate researcher in Center for Media and Democracy, LP3IS, one of the co-hosts of the summer course. And today I will helping Mas Wija as the moderator for today's session. So today's topic is also interesting as always. We will discuss about democracy and pluralism, also the social movement and the current state of digital politics in Southeast Asia. We also have 1 hour of discussion, including group discussion and also panel discussion. Then in 3 p.m. West Indonesian time, the speaker presentation will be started. Then before we jump into the discussion and also speaker's presentation, Mas Wija will deliver an introduction for us. So Mas Wija, the screen is yours.
Yeah. Thank you, Elsitra. Good morning. Yeah. Bonjour. Good afternoon. Selamat siang, everyone. Welcome to yay, finally, the very last day of this summer course, right? Of this very, very heavy 2 weeks. I read a lot of, comments and feedbacks from the participants, yeah, in the Google form. It was all very good. It was all, they are no discussion, no dissenting opinion on how good the summer course is in terms of the materials and the speakers. However, there are some notes about 2 weeks without rest is very, very not, it's quite hard, it's quite tough, some of you
Mas Wija, what's wrong? Okay. Oh, hello.
and suddenly it's silent.
Because you mute the microphone, I don't know why.
Because a small cyber truck comes to my room.
Oh, yeah.
Interrupts me. So sorry, I come back. Maybe because the introduction is quite heavy. That's why I paused. Yeah. So after 2 weeks, yeah. Now we finally come to this day, and we would like to make this last day different. That's why the co-host and host we discussed it very seriously last time how we can do it. So more of you can participate in this forum. So we come to an idea in which you can all participate. I will share my screen to explain you what we have come. So here we go. This is the entire program of today, as you could see there. We will start with, so we dedicate the sorry for the break again. Okay, I'll go on. So it will be opening, yeah, as you could read here, yeah, opening or introduction, right, by me. I'm doing it now, and until 1500 there will be a session for the participants, facilitated by thank you for Dr. Wan Rohila, yeah, from Malaysia, and Marile Markaide, I hope I spell your name correct, from Philippines, and Titi Ambarwati from Indonesia, who will facilitate the participants session. Because the first session is dedicated to the participants, then we would like, yeah, you know, the participants to lead session as well. And after they take over the session, and there will be breakout rooms for 50 minutes, which will be held by Pak Gulam, and then representative of each group. So we will divide you into groups, right? Consists 5 or 6 people, and you there you will do the discussion about what. Then this is the job of the Wan Rohila, Maril, and Ambarwati to explain to you. And then its representative of its group will speak for 2 minutes on the conclusion of the group discussion, and then wrap up. Afterwards, we will start to the classical event. Yeah, there will be me and Damar will speak first, and then Gabriel, and so on, and we will close it in 1700. So I think it's enough for me to speak now. I will give the floor to Tri Amarwati, Wan Rohila, and Marcella to lead or to facilitate the session. I guess maybe please join me to applause, give applause to them, yeah, to motivate all of our friends here from your own screen.
Is it me first?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you, Prof. Wija, dear friends and participants. I was asked by the organizer to trigger you. So my job now is to trigger you. So I have two interesting stories. Then we will see how these 2 stories trigger you. Somewhere in February 2001, our former Prime Minister Muhyiddin Yassin, who became the Prime Minister by hijacking his own friends, he visited Indonesia. So Pak Jokowi, as usual, he posted a few posts regarding the official visit, and surprisingly, his Facebook was flooded with criticisms, with harsh words, with accusations by Malaysian netizens, until Pak Jokowi had to withdraw the post. Can you see the power of, the power of Facebook? I believe Pak Jokowi, we left Pak Jokowi in, in asking what happened in Malaysia. Why did you flood my Facebook with, those posts? Okay, because in Malaysia, people were asking the former Prime Minister to resign. So whenever he went, they would always attack him, including on his official visits. Okay, among the posts, among the interesting posts on Pak Jokowi's Facebook was, how could a traitor meet a president who was chosen by people? You are not parallel with Pak Jokowi, something like that. Okay, so it was embarrassing, I can say, embarrassing. But it was also an eye-opener for all the leaders that people are always watching you. Now the social media has become a new weapon for the citizen. Last time it was the vote as the only weapon that we have. Now there is a new weapon, that is social media. The second situation that I'm going to share with you, my dear participant, is I think in the context of parliamentary system in Malaysia, you are very vocal on social media when you are on the opposition side. When you become the government, you will lose traction. It happened to Pakatan Harapan government, who was so popular on social media, and finally they managed to defeat the long-serving Barisan Nasional. They were very popular on social media, very popular online, but just within 1 year after they became the government, they just drowned. They could not afford the citizen criticism, hatred, and all the slanderings and so on. And they were just now I told you, the Prime Minister Muhyiddin Yassin, he hijacked the Prime Minister post from his friends. So he hijacked the new government who just won the election for about 2 years. One of the reasons that led to the hijacking was their inability to tackle the issues on social media. So I don't want to take your time. So I hope these two situations might trigger you on how powerful the social media is. Thank you, Pak Wija.
I'm guessing it's my turn, Mas Wija.
Yes.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. Good morning. I'm Marielle, a junior academic from the Philippines, and I have been asked by Mas Wija to share the Philippine experience concerning two major questions. The first would pertain to the digital problems that we are facing right now in the Philippines, and second, what solutions can be presented to resolve these problems. So in my opinion, one of the major problems that we are facing involving digital politics is precisely internet access. It's difficult to fully realize internet access as a fundamental human right when you have people who do not have access to computers and internet in poor, impoverished communities and in far-flung rural areas. And the COVID-19 pandemic has been worsening the digital divide, with more and more children and students not being able to enroll in school due to the lack of resources for remote learning. And apart from that, more people are struggling to have access for vaccine education, even the mere booking of appointments online. So that's a huge problem, internet access. And even for those Filipinos who are able to access social media for political participation, our participation is pretty much compromised due to the fact that the online space is being monopolized by the trolls that are funded allegedly by the state. So it's difficult to express dissenting opinion because you can easily find yourself being harassed by trolls, by unknown users, threatening that if you don't be silent, then they would continue harassing you, maligning your identity, and etc. And apart from that, it's really difficult to escape the propaganda of the state justifying the problematic policies of the Duterte administration. Even the case of face shields, I'm not sure if Indonesia has this face shield policy, but here in the Philippines, we've been struggling with that, despite the fact that it's not even backed by evidence. But the Duterte administration is still pushing with that kind of problematic policy. And eventually, we found out that apparently the one supplying face shields here in the Philippines is actually a crony of the Duterte administration. So each day we hear these cases of mismanagement of COVID funds, of corruption. And I think that one solution that I can propose, but I'm not really an expert to provide grand solutions to the deeply rooted problems of the Philippines, but what I can share is what we can do as a citizen of the Philippines. And that is by using social media effectively, by taking back the space for online deliberation in order to generate an authentic deliberation for our sentiment that ought to be pro people and not basically being manipulated by state forces, such as what's happening right now. So basically, that's my take about what problems are being faced right now by the Philippines. So thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much, Marielle. So I think it's my turn. Yeah, as also assigned by Mas Wija, like Juan and also Marielle, Mas Wija expect me to say or to share the views regarding this summer course. Actually, I'm not speaking for all the participants because I know that all the participants also have their own views and also a thought and also opinion about this social media activism. So I think what I'm going to talk here is my own personal opinions about the social media activism. So actually, before what really triggered me to speak today is I really like the topic of cyber troops that has been discussed in the summer course in this 14 days left, right? So before we talk about the disruption of democracy due to the cyber troop in social media, actually we in Indonesia should first of all concern about the connection of the internet, right? Because in Indonesia, especially in the remote areas, it is so difficult to have the internet or the data that work easily as we are in Java, right? So on the other hand, I think that digital literacy is also a concern to be rising up. So the shifting from the conventional way of communicating to the digital conversation brings a lot of handicap. Allow me to give example of how the information in social media, for example, in groups like WhatsApp, yeah, sometimes often misleading the members, especially to those who not well educated in social media literacy. For example, like older age people or younger age member of the group sometimes cannot differentiate the information that could be categorized as hoax or not. So the handicap here, I think, makes cyber troops or buzzers easily to spread their wings. So giving false information or just distract a social media user from contentious topic. However, if there's something that we can expect from the cyber troops, if I may say that today, probably if all of you open the Twitter, I think the trending topic today is boycott Saiful Jamil, right? Mas Damar, probably you also know the hashtag today. So if the cyber troops want to work and being appreciated by the netizen, I think they should boycott Saiful Jamil because, you know, I really agree about that because the netizen here plea a petition to boycott Saiful Jamil from showing his face or his performance in television. And I think that the social media citizen should should support those hashtags. So this is the time where cyber troop or social media activism, I think, should take an action. Thank you very much.
You continue. You go on, Ambar. What?
Oh yeah.
What
okay.
do,
so yeah, after hearing the point from Juan and then Marielle and me, now we are come to the breakout room where there will be 10 groups that will discuss about the social media activism that we can discuss in the room. And then after 15 minutes, after 15 minutes, we are going back to this room. So Pak Gulam, today we'll set the breakout room for us.
Yeah, we'll have 5 rooms. So everybody, I will send you to the scan of room automatically.
And it will end automatically in 15 minutes, yeah, Pak Gulam?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I will try
So
to
make
set
sure that you
15
use the 15 minutes
Okay.
to discuss all the problems in the world, yeah, in a digital world.
Okay.
We don't have to do anything, right, Pak Gulam?
Yes.
We don't have to do anything, right?
You don't need to
Yes.
do anything.
Just wait. Great.
Sorry, no.
Yeah, we are still here, yeah, not transported to the room.
Yeah, I will deliver. Don't worry.
Okay. No,
all of you will get the turn.
Baling-baling bambunya mana? Baling-baling bambu.
Ini kebetulan ya, it's coincidence that us are the last ones to be transported. Not the first one. We're still here.
Okay, done. You can choose. Okay.
You know, Bu Wan and Marie and Marielle should be in the room as well.
Yes.
Oh, one is not here already. Bye bye, Yang. Just for a few minutes.
Aku enggak ya, Mas.
Ya.
I will stay here.
Mas Damar sama Mas Fajar stay di sini. Kita yang jaga gawang. Ketemu lagi Mas Fajar.
Halo, siap. Mas
Siap,
Gulam.
Mas. Yeah.
Ini koneksinya agak merisaukan, ini udah 2 kali terlempar saya tadi.
Oh.
Di mana ini Mas Dir?
Ya?
Di mana nih? Lagi di kantor?
Di rumah.
Ini Mas Fajar sama Mas Gulam kan seangkatan kalau nggak salah ya?
Ngece. Saya junior
ya, lebih tua
jauh.
Oh, salah terima.
Ngece ya, Mas.
Lo tak kirain, lo kan. Ya 90-an lah.
Ya, kita ini
Oh,
dipuas-puasin dulu di kampus dulu.
Iya.
dulu terakhir di Manunggal ya Mas ya?
Iya, ya di mana kan. Aku juga ikut racanya kan awalnya dulu.
Iya. Mas
Dulu
Fajar
sama-sama
itu
pramuka, wah.
apian no, Mas Fajar.
Sama-sama alumni dong kalau gitu.
Mas Damar sehat, Mas Damar?
Sehat Mas Fajar. Ini lagi penat cari jalan buat amnesti untuk Pak Saiful Madi.
Iya.
Nah,
Kita
ini sebenarnya
diambil
kita obrolkan kali ya Mas Amang. Jadi Mas Fajar, kita
langsung.
nggak apa-apa kan sambil nunggu kawan-kawan ya. Jadi Mas Amang itu mungkin mengajak apakah LP3S mungkin mau mensupport Saiful Mahdi gitu. Ya, saya pikir sih jawabannya iya ya. Cuman memang kan kita ada beberapa center, saya di Kemudian Demokrasi, lalu Mas Nasir Lambang itu di center hukum ya. Jadi bisa pakai center-center itu, bisa juga melalui jalur direktur eksekutif kan, begitu. Cuman memang untuk Saiful Mahdi ini kan yang sangat intensif mengawal itu kan ini ya, Mas Lambang ya, Mas
Lambang.
Fajar ya.
Iya.
Tahu persis gitu. Saya malah lupa nih untuk kirim link Zoom ke Mas Lambang, meskipun belum tentu dia bisa ya. Nah, biar tak kirimin.
Ada acara Alsa ternyata.
Siapa Mas Lambang?
Nah, Mas Lambang sekarang. Dan di situ ada Pak Sugeng Purnomo juga dari Kemenpolhukam.
Ya emang selalu ada ini sih. Ada acara.
Ya. Mas Fajar, kalau boleh saya jelaskan sedikit ya. Jadi kami ini sedang mengupayakan meminta amnesti. Dan kenapa amnesti, bukan gerasi, bukan PK. Sebetulnya kan kalau pilihan jalur hukumnya kan sebetulnya ada 3 ya. Kalau PK itu butuh waktu karena kan kami harus mencari novum baru atau bukti baru. Sementara Pak Saiful Madi sudah ada di dalam penjara. Jadi itu takutnya terlalu terlambat kalau kita mengajukan PK. Sementara kalau misalnya opsi yang kedua, misalnya meminta gerasi, itu juga secara moral juga keliru karena kami sampai hari ini misalnya masih yakin Pak Saiful Madi tidak bersalah, tapi memang proses peradilannya yang dikatakan sesat ya. Jadi kalau gerasi juga tidak bisa dimintakan karena hukuman Pak Saiful Madi itu di bawah 2 tahun. Itu juga salah satu alasan kenapa tidak bisa. Kalau berdasarkan undang-undang yang ada, celahnya nggak bisa kita menempuh jalur gerasi. Jadi tinggal ketiga yaitu amnesti. Amnesti itu sebetulnya merupakan hak warga negara. Jadi setiap warga negara yang berkasus dan merasa ada ketidakadilan dia bisa mengajukan. Persoalannya adalah mekanisme amnesti itu tidak tertulis. Jadi tidak tertulis itu artinya tidak ada langkah-langkah yang harus ditempuh. Yang kita cuma kita tahu dari dokumen tentang undang-undang amnesti itu hanya bahwa presiden punya kewenangan tersebut. Nah, maka langkahnya adalah yang kita pikirkan dan kita pernah coba waktu Bu Baik Nuril itu adalah meminta perhatian presiden. Jadi ketika presiden sudah memberi perhatian, nanti bisa beliau yang kemudian mengatur langkah tentang pemberian amnesti. Nah, untuk bisa menarik perhatian tersebut kan tentu saja butuh bantuan jawili ya. Dari saya pakai bahasa Jawa nggak apa-apa ya Mas Fajar ya. Jawili banyak. Ya, jawili dari banyak orang. Semakin banyak orang yang jawil, semakin cepat proses perhatian itu bisa didapatkan. Nah, kalau tadi misalnya Mas Herlambang disebut ya, itu kan tapi satu orang. Atau misalnya SafeNet itu kan tetap dihitung hanya 2 organisasi. Nah, kita membutuhkan sebanyak mungkin pihak yang mau menyurati atau mengirim surat ke presiden untuk memintakan amnesti. Nanti monggo terus diatur gimana baiknya mau pakai organisasi apa, tetapi semakin banyak pihak baik individu ataupun organisasi yang meminta amnesti tersebut, jalannya akan lebih mudah. Sejauh ini kalau kami sendiri sudah semalam ketemu Kemenpolhukam, Mbak Dian, Kak Dian itu istrinya Saiful Madi udah ketemu dengan Pak Sugeng Purnomo, yang didisposisi oleh Kemenpolhukam Pak Prof. Mahfud untuk ketemu, tapi itu juga masih istilahnya first attempt. Second attempt yang saya sedang jajaki sudah minta ke Komnas HAM untuk menyurat juga ke Presiden, dan mereka sudah bersedia. Seluruh komisioner mau mengirim surat kepada Presiden. Nah, siapa tahu nanti dari lembaga think tank atau akademik, profesor, guru besar, kalau ada yang bisa bantu, apalagi tokoh figur publik ya, seperti Mas Fajar, Mas Wija, ini kan tokoh-tokoh figur publik yang terkenal ya. Jadi itu pasti akan memberi dampak ya, sejauh kita tidak tahu apakah hasilnya akan positif atau tidak, tapi paling tidak kita coba gitu loh untuk membebaskan Pak Saiful Bahri. Itu Mas latarnya, Mas.
Siap. Kita selalu diupdate sama Mas Lambang kok nanti, jadi kalau dibutuhkan apa-apa kita standby aja Mas Damar. Di bagian dari misi kita juga kan.
Oke, matur nuwun. Termasuk juga kalau ada usulan ke siapa lagi kira-kira yang bisa jawili. Mungkin ada usulan nama gitu loh, Mas. Itu aku juga nyentolong sih sebetulnya kalau ada ya.
Iya, boleh sambil identifikasi ya teman-teman yang.
Iya. Aku kayaknya akan coba ke Dr. Yanuar Nugroho untuk nulis. Lalu Mas Faisal Basri, karena sama-sama di I kan. Nah, tapi kira-kira nanti kalau ada yang lain. Atau Prof. Yatun, Dr. Fiona, kalau lagi nggak repot ngurus anak, siapa tahu mau nulis. Atau alter sih, monggo aja kalau ini. Kalau Mas Herlambang kemarin sempat mengatakan bahwa udah ada jaringan scholar at risk ya. Itu komunitas internasional dari para intelektual yang akan digerakkan juga. Tapi mungkin ada nama-nama lain yang bisa diusulkan. Sebetulnya saya akan senang sekali.
Saya kira Truli juga akan tertarik. Maaf ya, saya bicara tanpa minta hak. Truli juga akan tertarik, tapi dia nggak ada di ruangan ini.
No.
Ada.
Sudah.
Ada.
Dipaksa balik.
Aku yang maksa nih.
Aku
yang maksa nih.
Gimana?
Sorry.
Soal apa ya?
Ini Mbak Truli, kami sedang mengumpulkan sebanyak mungkin pihak, akademisi atau lembaga ya, lembaga think tank maupun organisasi yang mau ngirim surat ke Pak Presiden meminta amnesti bagi Saiful Mahdi, Dr. Saiful Mahdi.
Oke. Ayo.
Ayo, monggo.
Ayo. Oke, apa yang kita bisa lakukan dari sini?
Ya, sebetulnya sederhana. Ini hanya mengirim surat ke Presiden Jokowi, alamat kirim itu nanti bisa saya sediakan. Kalau membutuhkan contoh juga bisa saya sediakan. Tapi yang paling penting sebetulnya pesannya ya. Jadi pesannya adalah kita meminta Presiden Jokowi untuk menggunakan kewenangan beliau untuk memberikan amnesti, karena amnesti di Indonesia ini belum ada aturannya, belum ada aturan tertulis. Cuma disampaikan bahwa itu kewenangan Presiden, dan jadi kalau Presiden berkenan maka dia akan memberikan. Jadi surat itu harus dibangun untuk membujuk beliau memberikan amnesti, mungkin atas dasar kalau kita kan kebebasan akademik tentu saja ya. Tapi mungkin Mbak Truli ada pertimbangan-pertimbangan lain, silakan saja dituangkan di dalam surat itu.
Yang saya sebetulnya marah dalam tanda kutip adalah kenapa hal ini bisa terjadi kriminalisasi begitu. Itu seharusnya dari awal ini tidak masuk ke dalam ranah hukum pidana begitu.
Iya. Mau versi panjang atau mau versi pendek?
Ini harus forum tersendiri ya.
Forum sendiri.
Ya. Ini versi panjang. Versi panjangnya kayaknya harus break room. Tapi nanti kita mungkin tidak kembali ke big room ketika ini.
Ke principal room-nya nggak balik ya.
Ya, unsur politisasi kampusnya juga ada. Jadi ada warna eksternal ya. Jadi
Nah,
bukan.
itu.
Nah, politisasi kampus dan juga saya rasa yang praktek yang sudah jamak di Indonesia, mafia hukum. Jadi ada dua perkawinan di dua itu. Itu versi singkatnya. Kalau mau versi panjang, monggo Mbak Truli sudah punya nomor saya, nanti saya bisa sampaikan secara
nanti
lugas.
Kita buat acara ngopi atau ngeteh bersama Altersi, begitu ya. Judulnya
Ya,
sih ngopi
silakan.
bersama Altersi, tapi yang dibahas cukup ini.
Mas Wijang lirik-lirik pengen ikut itu.
Oh enggak, Wija jangan ditanya, dia nggak perlu undangan. Dia kalau dari disebut Altersi, dia bagian dari itu.
Siap, pokoknya. Ya, Mas. Mantap lah. Nanti kita obrolkan lebih serius ya. Ini sudah tinggal 4 menit waktu apa itu. Jadi sambil mereka breaking room kita sudah breaking room juga sebenarnya ya.
Itulah.
Biar
seru.
efisien gitu.
Bro Fajar, salam kenal. Saya Truli.
Ya, Mbak Truli sudah kenal kita.
Oh ya, pernah
di grup
papasan ya?
Ya, di grup juga kan saya ikut di grup seksual muda juga. Cuman kita lagi ngumpet kita ini.
Ini soalnya Mas Dir ini lagi lagi memberikan tenaga penghabisan buat menyelesaikan S3-nya. Jadi
luar biasa.
Lagi
ya, Mas.
Itu energinya lagi banyak-banyaknya itu.
Tak kirim doa Mas, semoga lekas selesai.
Saya juga mau dong dikirimin doa.
Nah, itu.
Sama makanan,
kirim.
Sama makanan juga terima.
Kalau kirim ke Truli berat di ongkos. Kalau ke Sarah saya mau deh, kan cuma di Bandung ya.
Kalau lewat Sarah nanti dipotong komisi.
Oh, siapa bilang?
Kayak petugas lapas kan gitu. Petugas lapas titip makanan buat napi, tanya nyampe napinya cuma udah dipotong.
Ngomong ini ada banyak orang di ruang tunggu, ada banyak orang nih, 5 orang.
Politik ya.
Oke.
Ngikuti Mas Wija, saya mau belajar politik.
Bisa aja. Oh ya, Mas Fajar dulunya komunikasi dia.
Iya.
Dan politik. Ya sama aja. Kalau udah begini kita apa aja. kita apa aja kita kaji ya. Jadi Pak Ismit nanti bersedia untuk nutup Mas Dir.
Oke.
Di ujung tapi setelah question answer setelah Mas Fajar dan yang lain-lain pembicara-pembicara ya, lalu kemudian Pak Ismit. Pak Ismit is the founder of LP3IS ya. Just in case. Pendiri LP3IS usianya sudah 80 tahun tapi staminanya dan kesehatannya itu loh mengagumkan Pak Ismit itu. Untuk seorang 80 tahun ya. We have 2 more minutes ya for the breaking out session. Yes, we're finally succeeded ya to make all the participants participate.
Ya, lumayan. Tadi saya kan di satu grup, tenggelam di satu grup.
Oh ya?
Dan, ada berapa 6 orang kalau saya nggak salah. Cuma 2 yang berinteraksi. Mereka interaksinya sangat dinamik, tapi yang lain sampai nggak ada video. Jadi harus lihat grup per grup apakah memang sangat demokratis
atau sebenarnya juga oligarkis.
Oligarkis atau ada orang yang terlalu pasif yang tidak berani bicara atau?
That's right. So oligarchy is not the right word, yeah, for because it's not because
Self-censorship.
Self-censorship.
Fuku.
Yeah. Tapi memang format digital itu untuk membuat summer school ada beberapa challenge dan kita harus membuat harus cari solusi yang baru.
Yes,
solusi.
that's right. It's quite challenging, and we have several times doing it, and like sekolah demokrasi as well. There are always some people who are not opening the camera as well as silent throughout the entire program.
Ya. Tadi kemarin kami bicara mungkin tahun depan baiknya bikin Facebook group supaya orang bisa tukar pikiran secara lebih informal dan juga info yang di luar topik utama summer school. Jadi nanti jadi lebih hidup dan mungkin lebih inklusif, lebih partisipatif.
We have actually WhatsApp group actually.
Welcome back to the main room, participant.
I'm back. Wow.
I think the discussion in the breakout room is not really enough, yeah. But that's all that we can do.
Yeah, I think now the facilitators screen is yours. The three musketeers.
Okay, thank you very much, Mas Wija. So I think this is the time for each of the speaker of the group to express their or to explain their discussion. Should we start with my group first? Mbak Nina will say the words.
Mbak Nina.
Go, Mbak Nina.
Okay. Well, what we have talked about.
Mbak, perhaps you can mention first the members of your group, yeah?
Oh, okay. Okay. Our groups are the leader is Mbak Tri Ambarwati, of course, and beside myself there is also Mas Samuel Levi, and then Pak Yohanes, Mas or Mbak Evel, and then Lalaina also, and who else?
Eduardo. Pak Eduardo.
Yes,
Eduardo, of course. Yeah.
Hello.
Who is still in Paris now. So what we have talked about during this 15 minutes, we talk about how the digital democracy in Indonesia will be in Indonesia very strong, or how would it be? And we think that it is not like digital democracy will be the whole democracy in Indonesia, that what we have in social media in Indonesia now, it is not the representative, the whole perspective of Indonesian citizens, because first 80% of Indonesian lives in rural area, so we still have several areas which doesn't have good internet connection, for example, and they also still maybe prefer the face-to-face campaign, the Baliho campaign, and so that's why the Baliho and the money politics, for example, still works in the rural area, maybe even in the next general election. But however, sometimes what happened in social media in the digital area, it can be strengthened by the mainstream media. That, for example, the 212 movement, the 212 movement action. This issue were brought by the TV, national TV. So the issue were talked about, and it has strong effect for the nation. So even though we think that digital democracy is not is still long way to go, there is still big challenges, but maybe mainstream media can have the role, can play the role to balancing the information between the east and the west part, for example. That's all I think. Thank you. Maybe some of the groups wants to add something. Okay. That's all for me.
Thank you very much, Vanina. I think you've read up all the discussion that we have in the breakout room. So now I give the time for Mbak Novia Fitri. I guess she's also the speaker of her group. Mbak Novia.
Well, thank you, Mbak Tri. Actually, Estu, she will represent us, but maybe we can do it together. So, Estu, do you want to present the slide?
If Mbak Novia wants, it's okay. I think you can say what we have discussed.
Well, actually, our discussion is hasn't finished yet, but the time is over. So we have just a few things that are really important, according to what been presented from the presenter at the beginning. First is about the what is happening in Malaysia that Ms. Wan already explained us. We note that she mentioned about the use of the social media, which the opposition may be more dominant using the social media rather than the authorities. From our perspective, it's very different with Indonesian case. I don't know, maybe others, you guys more experienced about social media using, but from the Indonesian case, I think the opposition even more aggressive than the opponent themselves, because the authority try to, I don't know, maybe pretend their power, or they try to be, I don't want to say that it's really authoritarian, but I guess when you see how the cyber truth has been working on, you can see that even the authority is much more aggressive rather than the opponent themselves. So this is what's been happening in Indonesia. Actually, it's really different with Malaysia. That's the first point. Maybe Estu will give more. And the second, that also we note from the presentation of Mariel, if I'm not wrong, she tell us about the online deliberation. I ever learned about this concept in the frame of digital democracy. Well, I guess social media is not only the platform that can be used for the online deliberation. So our job or our text for today is think about another platform, because social media is very mainstream and also very easy for the authorities to doing blocking, for example, or maybe cut down the one of the account that very I'm sorry, it's very noisy because of my kids. I'm so sorry. I have 3 babies with me in my room because
Saturday. So
same with me actually, same with everyone, most of us.
Saturday and they stay with mommy.
That's right.
Okay, so that's the second. So we, since we know that it's very easy for the authority to block or maybe to shut down any account that is critically speak up about something within the social media, because of that mainstream social media, maybe from the perspective of political economy, there's also any relation, we don't know, between the Facebook owner with the authorities, or maybe with the Twitter owner with the authorities, but it's very easy for them to do that. So we have to think about another kind of platform that can be used to make a kind of online deliberation within the framework of the digital democracy, I guess. Okay, Estu.
Yeah, maybe I will add just a little bit. We understand that to build the new platform is not easy. The idea to build new platform like cooperative platform or the other like the similar with cooperative platform has been shared by the other researcher like Smearcheck, or maybe I forget the name, the one who built cooperative platform. But I think we can start from the nearest that we can do before we build the cooperative platform. As what Mbak Tri has presented before, we also have issues on digital literacy and also cyber tropes. Besides what Mariel have said about the monopolized online space, and Mrs. Wan have said, but Mrs. Wan have highlighted that social media still has power. We also need to make some the nearest solutions that we can do in this time before we build the deliberative cooperative platform. First, like the controlling the law and rules, and then upgrading the digital literacy, and to build equal access. Because in Indonesia, like Mbak Ambarwati have said, it is not only in Java or outside the Java. Even in the inside of Java, we also have unequal digital access. So that's the other issues that we need to face before face or solve before we build the new deliberative cooperative platform. I think that's we have discussed before. Maybe anyone want to add something? Mbak Novi, want to add again?
I think it should come back to Mbak Tri. We done.
That's from our group.
I think I'll take over from here. So thank you very much, Estu and Nafia. Now we move on to the representative of our group. I was able to coerce him to represent our group. So let's have Añado.
Okay. Firstly, I want to say the member of the group: Gita, Adrina, Mariella, Maid, Atia, Reskiwati, dan saya, dan me. We talk about what is important, what are the pressing issues concerning digital politics in our country. For my country, Italy, was the social media can be very dangerous because everyone can speak. I mean, there are, from my opinion, there too much freedom of speak. It is because a view from misinformation like on vaccine hoax, xenophobia, Islamophobia, anti-secularism, rise of right-wing populist, polarization of view, and so on. In Indonesia, there are highlight children protection inside. We need to Indonesia need to make a law for children protection in cyberspace, like for cybercrime. And the children are not protected from online exploitation like cyberbullies. Also, I think pedophilia, cyber pedophilia, which is very intellectual in Indonesia. Internet connection is no problem when family in Indonesia does not have electricity. I think it's about the rural area, especially for East Indonesia. What a solution can be provided for this issue? I think we think about our law regulation and expanding the use of social media from freedom of expression. This is from our group, and if there are
Thank you very much, Elo. Now we move on to the next representative. We have Pradipa. Are you there?
Okay, thank you, Dr. Mariel. Actually, I'm not quite sure what to talk about because we did not have a substantial discussion back in the breakout room. So this will be my take. But before, I would like to say that the participants in the breakout room were Pak Ebihara, Mas Grinda, Mas El Hakim, Mbak Khuswatun, and Mas Unggul. So this will be my take. Others, feel free, please feel free to add. So one of the problem that I suspect from about digital democracy in Indonesia is we need to consider the moral worth of cyber troops themselves. I mean, it's common already to pinpoint buzzers or cyber troops as one part of the problem in digital democracy in Indonesia, but perhaps we need to also ask who were they, why were they involved, what motivated them. So I'm reflecting from my own research during Jakarta election 2017, which will be published by ISIS this year. So it's easy to dismiss buzzers or cyber troops as agents for hire who only care for the money, but perhaps I think they don't always find a good channel for politics or a lucrative channel to participate in politics, especially in the face of polarization in Indonesia that has happened since 2014. So there are buzzers or cyber troops who genuinely believe they are defending the right cause, they are defending the right person by defending Jokowi or by defending Prabowo or by defending Anies or Ahok. So it's like I'm already a Jokowi diehard fan, so why not getting paid while defending them? So I want to say that they might confuse politics, political participations with defending political figures, because in Indonesia in the last years there have been personality-driven politics, which exacerbated in the terms like cebong and kampret, or polarization that is defending one political figure to another. So in my opinion, cyber troops are embedded in the social world of politics in Indonesia. And so I think besides from talking about digital literacy, we might need to also talk about political literacy. That's my take. Perhaps Mas Grinda, Mas Unggul, Pak Ebihara, or Mas El Hakim might want to add.
Okay, thank you very much, Pradipa. If no one else would like to share their insights, let's move on to the next representative. Let's call on Mas Taupan. Are you there?
Okay, thank you very much. Can you hear me? Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, clearly,
okay.
We can hear you.
Thank you. First of all, I will represent my group. My group consists of Miss Wan, Mr. Baskoro, and Mas Yuli, and Miss Mayasari. So what we have discussed in our room 3, let's say the first one, even so we have like technical and natural problem in Indonesia, like the social media coverage or range is still maybe limited to remote area, but of course we have already in urban area. So our essential problem, the first one is like media literacy. So we need to promote media literacy to filter any hoax in social media activism and social media movement. And the second one, according to Mr. Baskoro, that we need to do mapping grassroots. Why? Because we need to unite the grassroots. We need to which looks suffer from polarization and fragmentation. So we need to unite, especially middle class and you know, the poor class, something like that. So we need to do mapping grassroots to unite not only our movement, but also to promote our center people issue. So people center issue. So we need to promote, we need to support center people issue like poverty, and so on and so on. And the last one, according to Miss Wan, that because in case of Malaysia, cyber truth are elite driven, so we need to really care about cyber truth to fight against cyber truth, and then to take back the issue into the issue of the people-centered issue. I think I think that's all the very important one in our discussion. Maybe there's some maybe if any member would like to add, please. Time's you. Any member, Miss Wan or Pak Baskoro, or Mas Yuli or Maya Sari, do you like to add something?
Okay, go ahead, Dr. Rohila.
Mas Taufan, please mention about the solutions that we discussed.
Yeah,
the political education.
Yeah, I forgot to say that. Yeah, we need to make like the solution is like of course we need to do like political education for a long time, consistently, of course. And then I think we need to combine like research and activisms, research based on like academic and NGOs, and activism based on you say like today people movement. Yeah, I think we need to support each other to win the war. I think that's all. Is it right, Miss Wan? Miss Wan, do you like to add something, please?
No. Okay. You put everything very well.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, I think that's all from our group. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you very much, Taufan. Hopefully we did not miss any representatives. I think if there's no one else, then we can now proceed to the wrapping up of this first part of this afternoon session. So I'll begin by wrapping up the session as I share my realization after hearing the sentiments of my fellow participants. So basically, there is this need for more spaces, public forums like this one, gathering activists, academics, journalists, conversing with one another to connect the plight and struggles of Southeast Asian societies. By establishing networks, we can share our tactics, strategies, research, and even strength on how we can combat anti-people administrations in order to create governments and elect leaders that we deserve. So hopefully, beyond this workshop and summer course, we can maintain our networks and use social media further to establish a kind of activism that is transnational. So now we move on to Ma'am Tri, and then Ma'am Rohila for the last words for this session, for this part. Go ahead.
Okay, thank you very much, Mariel. I think the job of us as a facilitators here come to the end, and I'll give the time to Mas Wija again, or El Citra.
It should be El Citra.
All right, I will take the forum. Okay, thank you. Such an interesting discussion. Unfortunately, we just do it once and with such a short duration, but we must move on to the following schedule, right? Now we enter the speakers presentation session. The speakers will deliver the presentation within around 20 or 25 minutes. After all the presentation is done, we will have the Q&A session. So please write down your question in the chat box or ask directly in the Q&A session. Then without further ado, Mas Wija and Mas Damar from SafeNet, Mas Wija and Mas Damar will present notes on the current state of digital politics in Southeast Asia. Mas Wija and Mas Damar, the time and screen are yours.
Okay, thank you, El Citra. Mas Amang, maybe I will start first, and then you go on, yeah. Okay. Thank you, everyone. I will go straight forward to my slides. However, I would like to say thank you so much for for the three facilitators, yeah, three amazing facilitators, Bu Wan Rohila Ganti, ya, Bu Tri Amarwati dan Bu Marile Markaida, for the wonderful. I guess this is what we just heard is the best part of the entire summer course. To hear from all of you, right? And thank you as well for the representation of its groups, yeah, and for the fruitful discussion and points. Now I will share my screen. So I will give my presentation, our presentation, yeah. Me and Mas Damar. The title would be When Authoritarianism Rises, Resistance Grows. So this morning I did a phone call with Mas Amang, and the result is the title. And we don't discuss about the content actually. we discuss about the content, but very briefly. So it's very much improvisation, and Mas Amang feel free to add any points in any time. Right? But we agree that, you know, if we reflect Yupen, the entire summer course since day one to the end, it seems that there is a bitter truth, yeah, that we have to face about the rise of digital authoritarianism, yeah, in Indonesia and elsewhere in Southeast Asia. That's and I think we've explained about it very well. From the speakers, yeah, so many cases about this, the rise of digital authoritarianism. However, I think it's legitimate to say that resistance also grows. However, I get a sense that perhaps we don't emphasize this point strong enough, yeah, that the resistance also grows. Okay, but first I would like to here, yeah. So as you're talking, I try to write down some of your points here from Mbak Nina group. Unequal access to social media and internet. Many areas don't have internet access, so the solution will be access equality is one of the solution. This is very good point, and you know, this is from the group of Mbak Sarah, yeah, I think, yeah. About you know, in Malaysia the opposition uses social media more, while in Indonesia it is the government. I think that's a very good point. Yeah, there's also a tendency of authoritarian practices. So promoting alternative platform, also based on the case of Philippines for deliberation rather than on the social media, is one of the solutions. Okay, and this is from ELO, too much freedom of speech, law for cybercrime, and children vulnerability. So to promote the law for cybercrime, especially for children, will be one of the solutions. This is Adib, cyber troops for defending political figures and political polarization in Indonesia is the problem. So we have to promote political literacy. Media literacy, mapping and uniting the grassroots is the solution. Cyber troop is one of the problems, and political education is the solution. So we have some repeated ideas, yeah, about literacy and education as one of the solution. And I summarized from Marciele, the summer course can be the start for future collaboration, and I do agree with it. Now, this is the article that is just published, just out yesterday, yeah, that I write together with Fiona, Dr. Fiona Swana. Digital innovation cuts both ways, repression rises, resistance response. This morning, I think me and Mas Damar agree that we have to make it more bold. Yeah, this title is good but not strong enough. So we change the title into When Authoritarianism Rises, resistance grows, so it's stronger. Yeah, it's like, you know, if we use the theory of Michel Foucault, when there is a domination, there will be always the challenge. Yeah, there's always a resistance. So first, what is digital authoritarianism? Right, this is the concept that we very often refer. There are some definitions here. For instance, practice using information and communication technology designed to either invade privacy, deny access to information, spread misinformation, limit expression, and limit political participation. And here is another one, negation of what McKinnon calls network authoritarianism. It consists of practices such as filtering and controlling internet content that citizens can access, and blocking and shut down the internet completely. And this is another one. I would like to draw your attention to. This is quite long, yeah, with the criteria. Digital authoritarianism is the use of technology by authoritarian governments not only to control but to shape the behavior of its citizens via surveillance, repression, manipulation, censorship, and the provision of service in order to retain and expand political control. This is the use of digital information technology by authoritarian regime to surveil, repress, and manipulate domestic and foreign population. And there are still some others, even though there are many more articles that they talk about digital authoritarianism, but they don't define what it is. So even the definition is also a problem. And you know, there are many kinds of definition of digital authoritarianism as well. So and so some scholars talk about, instead of defining, they talk about the sign of the digital authoritarianism, such as Glassius and Michelson say that this is arbitrary surveillance, secrecy, and disinformation, violation of freedom of expression. It would be some of the indicators. Xiaoqiang, using the case of China, say that to push towards digital authoritarianism took many forms: colonization of the online public through manipulation, inauthentic activity, influence operation, surveillance of the online public through big data analysis, spyware, tracking apps, silencing of the online public through the deplatforming, content moderation, and targeted repression of influential voices, transnationalization of repression through information, operation, and surveillance abroad, and the normalization and legalization of architecture of the digital control. So it's quite complete, yes, it's quite a lot of things here. So long, yeah. But I just want to say that there's some response, yeah, about from the Google form. In the case of Madagascar, yeah, some problems there we can find about political debate, with the existence of brazzers and brainwashers, so more or less like in Indonesia. And this is in Philippines. The COVID-19, so the digital divide is the problem. COVID-19 has worsened the digital divide, with more students dropping out of school due to the lack of resource for remote learning and more people struggling to access. So access is one of the issues, yeah, that we find everywhere. In Malaysia, so I think it's been explained before, yeah. It's not does not receive much welcome from the government, since most of the digital activists are from the opposition. I think the Malaysian government needs to learn from Indonesian government, yeah, because many of the government supporters, you know, government supporters. So I don't say the governments, but the government supporters use cyber troops to support government's policy. So Buwan, I think your government needs to learn from us, yeah. But you also addressed it in the very beginning. This is in Thailand, militarized cyberspace and mass surveillance. The problem of Thailand now is that government is using the national security as an excuse to use cyberspace such as social media, Clubhouse, to check if anyone is talking or mentioning anything that is against government, such as anti-monarchy. So this is a scary situation, yeah. And in Indonesia, someone just to give to take just one of the example, mentioned about the buzzer and cyber troops or cyber mercenary. Okay, that's the news about the authoritarian practices, right? The problems and unequal access. However, there's also, I would like to also emphasize here that there's the resistance also grows. Just like in Indonesia, in the case of civil society movement to reject KPK law, KPK bills in 2019, it was offline as well as online, as you could see here in the social network analysis. In the case of protests on Omnibus Law Bill, it was offline as well as online. So in this period, actually, it is in a short period, even the civil society was able to dominate the Twitter, the social media. One of it is Twitter. Even though finally they were beaten, yeah, they were dominated, yeah, by those who support this problematic law. Okay, as also presented by Fiona yesterday, there was always resistance from the citizen in the case of KPK, the anti-corruption body, in the case of refusing the reclamation, yeah, in Bali, as well as in the COVID-19. So and Nyatun gave an example that it's happening not just in Indonesia, but also in Southeast Asia. The rhizomatic expansion, viral youth action, in her words. So it's going on actually. And to quote Yatun yesterday, this creativity that I see happening in the ground, it doesn't throw down regime yet. The story change and struggle is one stream with all different little meandering side roads. We identify generation not by what they have accomplished, but based on what they have triggered. So, you know, we have triggered a lot of things in her view, and I think I agree with her. Yeah. And now, as I'm talking to you, we are also triggering something through attending and joining this forum, right? And as Jeffrey Winters has rightly said, yeah, you may say, oh, it is not possible to create something like this. That is the old voice in you speaking. I repeat to you what I have presented to you in the beginning. Young people don't think this way. It is important to discuss and debate major institutional reforms like this, not because they are possible, but so that when minor breakdowns or ruptures happen, and they always do, the idea is already there and fully matured and ready to be introduced, rather than trying to come up with ideas that at the last moment. This is how we can move closer to full human dignity in the years and decades ahead. So rupture always happen. I think it's something very strong, and it will come. Like has been written by Sin Peng as well. The breakdown in the regime will finally come. Okay. So now toward cosmopolitan collaboration, you know, Nyatun cited Deleuze and Guattari about how is the rhizomatic assemblage today that she believes as the best way to conceptualize our today movement. It's characterized by connectivity, heterogeneity, multiplicity, and a signifying a rupture. Now what we are doing is actually, you know, we can collaborate, you know, so our action doesn't have to be revolutionary. We don't our activities like this, webinar collaboration, and hopefully in the future we can do also research collaboration, writing collaboration. And of course, we can do activism beyond boundaries as well, if the issue is right. So we can start from here. So we start small. We start from something that doesn't sound revolutionary, yeah, Mas Amang, yeah. You know, a webinar, research collaboration, writing collaboration is, you know, it sounds like opposing the gun, for instance. However, as Yaton has rightly said, yeah, we will history change and struggle as one stream with all different little meandering side roads. So eventually it will lead into somewhere, and I believe as well about it. And I agree with Marielle, who said that the summer course can be the forum for that new civil society movement. Now, before Mas Amang perhaps added some point, as a host of this institution, I would like to thank to all of our co-hosts, yeah, Mas Damar Juniarto, Mas Imal, yeah, from SafeNet. I would like to thank to Mas Gabriel, yeah, Mbak Sarah, Mbak Truly from Altersea. You've been there every day until this very last day. Thank you so much. I would like to thank as well on behalf of the host and co-host. I would like to thank to all the participants. We have been through, you know, 2 very heavy weeks, yeah, with a lot of materials. You know, I realized about it, especially yesterday or approaching the very last day. Wow, it's quite heavy, and you know, even for me. So I understand that some of the participants may write in the comments that it's maybe the material is too heavy, yeah, for 2 weeks, and we have it every day. So thank you to all of you. Thank you to everyone. I will end my slide here. Mas Amang, please feel free to add some points.
Thank you, Mas Wija. I promised to Mas Wija before that I will speak shortly. So let me begin with, let me start with the 2 names that I think is very important. One is Tim Berners-Lee. He's the founder of the World Wide Web, the thing that we now known is as Internet. And the second one is Ronald Dilbert. He's the director of Citizen Lab, but also he's a professor, I think, in professor of political science in University of Toronto. So let me begin with Tim Berners-Lee. So Tim Berners-Lee, the founder of WWW, expressed his concern about the technological development that triggers technological dystopia that is very vulnerable to cyber threats such as hacking, data theft, spreading of fake news, and also leaking of personal information. So the thing that he wrote last year in 2020, he literally said that he want to fix the internet. He want to make the internet better, because when he create the WWW, he has an idea that the internet will be the marketplace of ideas. But as we know right now, the internet is no longer just a marketplace of ideas, but also the arena for people repressing each other, like as Morozov said on his book. So that's the first thing, that the founder, the people who understand the technology, already realized that something wrong with this internet thing. And the second person that I want to highlight is Ronald Dilbert, the director of Citizen Lab, who published his book last year. The title is Reset, Reclaiming the Internet for the Civil Society. And just like Tim Berners-Lee, he also opened a perspective that something needs to be done to reset this internet and giving more fostering ideas of democracy, and also something had to be done to control the unregulated surveillance industry, and also not only that, I think, but also about the AI, how the AI create the dark algorithm, and also create discrimination. So based on those two people that I want to look and also explain it to you. This is my short comment here. That saying that we need more people, we need more energy, we need a lot of people who has a background, different backgrounds, background of technology, the background of academicy, not only just the usual democratic actor. We need more people to fix the problem of the internet and also the social media, to make it this technology become one of the key to democratization. So I'm inviting you to look not only on the dark side, to not only capturing the devastating, the desperation because of the rise of digital authoritarianism, but also to look that there is a pushback agenda from a lot of people, the people who developed the technology at the first time, but also the people who like Ronald Gilbert, who fight now on the international level to control the surveillance industry. And also a lot of people in also in the region that still believe that we can reclaiming the internet back to the civil society. So that's the thing that I want to add, because I still believe deep down in my heart that there is still possibility that we can use this internet to fostering the democracy. Of course, this is not the whole context of democracy in the region, since the digital divide is still a problem for us. But at least we know that there is a slight possibility that this internet, this medium, this technology actually give us an opportunity to make the society better. So that's my short comment, Mas Wija. Thank you.
Mas Wija, any comments or additional?
Yeah. No. I think Mas Amang already makes it perfect. Yeah. So to complete our slides. So I think that's enough.
Okay, thank you, Mas Damar and Mas Wija. Interestingly, this summer course not only elaborates on the problems but also collecting solutions. I highlight that civil resistance is crucial in this digital authoritarianism problematic situation. In other words, we need to reclaiming the internet for to civil society. Then we will listen to another interesting comparison of social movement in Indonesia and also France. In the second presentation by Alter C, then Mas Gabriel, Mbak Truly, or Mbak Sarah, the screen is yours. Which one first?
Gabriel, perhaps would you like to correct the title of the presentation?
Yes, sure. This title was for a talk we gave last year for LP3S, and we wanted to not to focus on France this time, but more on Indonesia. So the title will be Digital Connected Social Movements in Indonesia, Systemic Changes for Systemic Challenges. So the systemic dimension will be at the center of our presentation. And I give the microphone to Truly, who will begin the presentation. Thank you.
Okay, may we share the screen now? Hop. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Okay, so thank you again for the opportunity for us to share our topic today. So perhaps I would like, first we would like to give a short, how can I say, a presentation about us. Who are we actually? So Gabriel, Sarah, and I, we are from Alter C. It's an observatory about social movements as an alternative. And today we would like to present digital connected social movements in Indonesia, systemic changes for systemic challenges. So sorry that we changed the topic for today, because we think that it's better if we share, we discuss, we talk about Indonesia instead of the cases in France. So it is interesting to interrogate as well. What is social movement actually? Is it the same as collective behavior? I think it is the thing that all of us we can, how can I say, we can think again about the definition of social movement. So okay, so in the post Suharto era, Indonesia has seen a remarkable transformation. The country's legislature passed constitutional reforms, including key provisions to protect human rights, such as individual rights, religious freedom, and women's rights. However, despite these gains, the Jokowi administration has undertaken legislative or policy processes that threaten large sections of Indonesian society. Moreover, certain policies or laws were pushed through parliamentary process without adequate public engagement or transparency. So it comes as no surprise that it fueled public opposition that led to political protests across the country by several segments of the population, such as students and labor groups. The protests were severely repressed, and Amnesty International Indonesia has counted at least, correct me if we are wrong, 402 victims of police violence throughout the protests, including journalists in the 33 provinces. On top of that, the democratic regression is marked by the suppression of civic space for critics as well as for digital activism. We may see several criminalization cases, such as Dandi Dwi Laksono, Saiful Mahdi, and Ravio Patra. So therefore, in this presentation, we'd like to question what are the initiatives undertaken by civil society, especially social movements, to protect democratic advances? What are the social movement strategies, particularly through digital area? To understand social movements in Indonesia, we would like to give a brief historical introduction. Okay, perhaps some of you have seen these pictures before. So at the beginning of the 20th century in the Dutch East Indies, or nowadays we call it Indonesia, several social movements were organized by local organizations, even Marxist organizations. These organizations opposed government policies and capitalism. They were concerned about social conditions, economics, politics, and culture. The struggle was done in several ways, such as strikes, demonstrations, and through media dissemination of information. Please keep in your mind that at that moment, they didn't have yet internet, so they used media as well. At that time, people used media such as novels, poetry, songs, newspapers, and magazines to convey implicit messages for disseminating ideologies and protest towards the dominating power, and at the same time encourage people to act and react. Most express issues like poverty, oppression, violence, labor struggle, etc. It is no surprise that they were thus considered as bacaan liar. I don't know how to translate it into English. Perhaps someone can help me with that. Bacaan liar? Sarah, perhaps?
Uncontrolled readings.
Thank you, Sarah. Their struggle was not easy because the writer will be sanctioned, jailed, or even executed. Then during the Japanese occupation, the orientation of social movements changed. Japan promised independence and fostered collaboration with Islamic youth and the nationalists. Going further, the Japanese authorities encouraged nationalist and Islamist movements. It is important to keep in mind that at that time that the Dutch had not yet given up the idea to reoccupy Indonesia. So Japan needed human resources from Indonesian people. To encourage people to support the Japanese, propaganda through media, such as flyers, newspapers, posters, or photos, was disseminated. There was even a picture of Sukarno encouraging Indonesian people to participate in Romusha. Romusha is a forced labor. After Indonesian independence, the leftist groups dominated the political stage. Social movements at the time paid more attention to anti-imperialism. Relatively many artists, writers, activists, as well as politicians used the media to diffuse the message. Political parties even created their own newspaper or magazine, such as the Communist Party of Indonesia with their Harian Rakyat, Masyumi with Harian Abadi, etc. Nevertheless, certain media were banned, such as Harian Abadi, and several people, such as Buya Hamka, were arrested because they were viewed as contra-revolutionary, or in other words, they were considered not in line with the government. It is interesting to follow as well the journey of social movements in Indonesia after the assassination of the 6 army generals in 1965. At the time, Indonesia fell into a socio-political crisis, which led the country into an authoritarian state that shut down freedom of expression, many freedom actually. The mid-1980s was a period of transition in Southeast Asia, marked by the increasing integration of several countries into global production systems, exposing the regimes to increase oversight by international bodies. Defining civil society along liberal lines, in autonomy from the institutional system of the state, they encourage its role as an agent of democratization. However, regional states tended to both accommodate and fragment these new social forces through partial or total administrative and societal incorporation, or through preemption, bureaucratization, co-optation, or selective exclusion. The situation gradually changed after the Indonesian reform in 1998. After being silenced for more than 30 years, Indonesian people started to share opinions analysis or judgments towards government's policies. New media flourished, which opened the door for citizens' voices. Moreover, digital technology has created a new space for society. It's growing more and more remarkably after the world fell into the COVID-19 pandemic. Next, I give the word to Gabriel.
Yes, and I will talk about a more recent shift. It is since 2016 when a number of oligarchies have instrumentalized specific Islamic organizations as counterpower to the national government. At this moment, there has been a reshaping of the space for social mobilization. Religious and identity-based movements have been decoupled from their social claims, and instead, an emphasis has been put on their moral values or on their particular economic and political interests. And therefore, this situation has reinforced an already existent fragmentation of the social forces. On the other hand, the increased pressure on the government by the oligarchies has led it to follow authoritarian trends, and these ones have particularly affected the social movements. The Indonesian context forms part of a larger Southeast Asian regional dynamic, which sees the revival of the state's authoritarianism. The emancipation of civil society is challenged by the return to military dictatorship in Myanmar, by also the so-called drug war in the Philippines, by identity politics in Indonesia, and also by frequent military coups in Thailand. In the face of these authoritarian trends, the contemporary emergence and convergence of resistances at different scales in Southeast Asia have been slower than elsewhere, compared to contexts such as Latin America, for example. And this heaviness is also linked to the different forms of state steering of civil society between coercion and prescription. Not only are the states weakly supportive of grassroots initiatives, but the governments also directly act to limit the possibilities of the citizens to politically organize and to find systemic solutions to inequalities and the lack of government social measures to manage them. This tendency appears through the disqualification of any constructive social agenda, for instance, in the Philippines, where journalists and academics are targeted by the government based on unfounded accusations that they are indoctrinating students with leftist ideology and recruiting communists. Not to talk about Indonesia, where communism and anarchy are the main rhetorical arguments used to discourage any systemic social claim. In addition to propaganda and disqualification of the opposition voices, the governments make use of authoritarian innovations, which encompass various sophisticated tactics to manipulate elections, to control the internet, to suppress independent media, and to intimidate critics. Strict lockdowns and rising COVID-19 cases also discourage people from going out in the street and protesting. So there is a shift with the current crisis. In the face of these shock doctrines, to use the terms of Jen Shreddy, these doctrines are based on popular astonishment and moral panics, and the consequence is that social movements endure difficulties to emerge and to organize. Digital media enable social movements like the Arab Spring, the Indignados, Occupy Wall Street, and in Southeast Asia, Bursi, or more recently, the Milk Tea Alliance, show that to pass from connective to collective action, different mechanisms must be activated. As you can see in the picture, Leong and Al highlight two types of emergence that enable the movement to evolve across three different phases. The first type of emergence is clustering emergence, which reflects a change in the nature of movement activities from disparate individuals participating independently in social media to more connected but unstructured groups of participants. Then there is a second type of emergence that the authors call structuring emergence, which reflects a shift towards more structured forms of organizing, leading to the establishment of a more organized and relatively stable network of activist groups. And this type of emergence is based on the logic of collective action, which require formalization and standardization of movement activities. It thus builds on specific features of social media that provide structure to action through access and participation control. In their analysis of Bercy movement, the authors of this paper show how social media enables the alignment of frames across the broad base of the movement. It does so by fostering open deliberations at a large scale around the movement's cause. And the authors analyze how the global voting encouraged by Bercy was a kind of direct intervention, which has been critical for maintaining the movement's momentum and its ability to mobilize at a large scale. So they put the real emphasis on these kinds of momentum. I now give the voice to Sarah. You are on mute, my dear.
Thank you very much, Gabriel. In this context that we just described, of the digital media enabled social movement risings, COVID-19 appears as an opportunity for the government to increase their control over civil society at large. The concerns of health workers and other segments of the population directly impacted by the weakening of social protection have been largely ignored, and the management of the pandemic is mainly conducted without the consultation of the social actors. Some governments, like in the Philippines and even in Indonesia, have established a militarized national COVID-19 task force. Paradoxically, the state's weakness in coordinating the different social levels is triggering the emergence of the new community-driven self-help strategies towards surviving the pandemic. These initiatives can be direct, like for example, the initiative of food solidarity called Dapur Umum, literally common kitchens, for the workers, and more recently for the patients in self-isolation. We've seen that during the wave in June, July, and August this year. These initiatives can also be relayed on the digital space or even initiated on it. In this context, it is important, not yet, in this context, it is important to acknowledge the changing nature of our daily reality, as it can now be characterized as an intertwined cyber-physical system. That's what we've been discussing actually the last 2 weeks. This term refers to the close interaction and mutual influence between online and offline reality, thus creating a complex reality in which actors move and act on a regular basis. The consequences are an increased interaction between the local and the global level as communication becomes direct, and through virtual networks, the possibility to be present in many contexts simultaneously beyond physical presence, something that was not possible with past technologies. As such, the digital dimension is not only a tool, but an expanded field for presence and action. However, this expanded field is not free from inequalities, starting from the linguistic domination. Maybe you'll remark that English is kind of dominating the internet. And we have to constantly question who has really access to it, and has to question the infrastructures and digital literacy that have been discussed by the participants today. Not all the movements question the systemic gaps of the government, ideologically speaking, although these initiatives fill these gaps concretely. So I will give few concrete examples. By providing a practical answer to the health crisis and other inequalities, they can even divert attention from the need to improve state management of the crisis when they succeed. The reaction of the government vary from benevolent and even lending legitimacy to them, such as in Bandung with the Dapur Umum, so the Common Kitchen Initiative, the initiative of the Foundation Taruna Bakti, to suspicion and intimidation, such as in Yogyakarta, this happened recently, and even a Dapur Umum in Balikpapan was dismissed on August 25, when the patients in isolation were increasingly oriented to centered isolation, isoter in Indonesia. Besides the examples of Dapur Umum previously indicated, there are also other movements encouraging healthy practices in order to resist to COVID-19, such as Gerakan Indonesia Jemur Pagi, the movement of Indonesia sunbathing in the morning. encouraging people to sunbathe in the morning in order to strengthen individual immunity with gathering more vitamin D and stabilize emotions. The movement also means to foster a sense of community, even a national cohesion, as the movement created the Salam Viva RI, which means Salam Viva Republik Indonesia, a sequence of movements recommended to increase the efficiency of sunbathing through a connected action relayed with photos on their Instagram accounts. I must add that the inventors of Salam Viva RI refer to a few doctors that would have provide medical basis for what they propose. A more systemic approach concerns the citizens' initiative to inform, educate, and revise the official information about the pandemic. Two movements, Lapor COVID-19 and Lapor COVID-19 dan Kawal COVID-19, mean to defend the right of the citizens to accurate information and efficient training in facing COVID-19, for example, how to run self-isolation. Their main weapon has become the data or numbers, as they sometimes contradict the official discourse about the pandemics. Based on citizen reports and experience sharing, this platform echoed the general defiance about the data displayed by the official task force. Lapor COVID-19 became a reference in the media in July 2021, as it published the number of people dying in self-isolation, almost inaccessible for the task force. Going further, this movement also expressed direct criticism to the government, for example, about the military and police-led task force, about the fees for healthcare, or the inequalities in the access to vaccination. They also opened discussion about the need for a third vaccine dose or provide support and incentive for the medical or health workers systematically left apart, as mentioned earlier. These examples can be seen as representative of what was described by Dr. Yatun yesterday as a rhizomatic organization made possible with the digital access. However, the question remains about the ability to access these platforms, which may not be equal for everyone. I wanted to share a last case about online activism, but I think that the time is running short, so maybe I will leave this one. It was actually just questioning the role of the figures. I mean, Jering is a drummer from a very famous band in Indonesia, Superman is Dead. And he became a kind of icon of anti-COVID movement, claiming that it was a huge conspiracy and so on. Eventually, he ended up in jail for inviting people to stop the Indonesian Doctor Alliance in Bali. So he went in jail for that. Then his fans could gather enough money to get him out of jail earlier. And finally, he almost got in jail again because his Instagram account was closed and he accused someone very violently to do so, although nothing has been proven until now. And after this case was okay, that was in August, he got vaccinated suddenly. So he just apologized in his new Instagram account. He's now looking for someone to restore his old account. But what is interesting here is we can question the figure of the influencer, how they can fragment or on the opposite, gather people around them. Is it structuring or fragmenting? And mentioning too that, for example, in France, just to mention it, saying that someone relays conspiracy theories is a way of neutralizing, actually, social movements. Although we may question the content of conspiracy theories, we still have to remember that when it's about freedom of expression, we have to look at this a little bit more carefully. Okay. Thank you very much. In general, these digital movements enact a strong connectivity linked by common interests and urges, but does not necessarily refer to a concrete social collectivity. And it is interesting to mention here that the intersection with classic social actors such as syndicates, political parties, is often non-existent. Shirley, back to you. Your mic, Shirley.
Okay, thank you, Sarah. Okay, so it's time for us to conclude and try to imagine some windows for the social movements in Indonesia in facing the overlapping crisis faced by the country. So our first step is to identify the central piece of the problem. Jeffrey Winters, in his introductory talk for the launching of the LP3ES book, Democracy Without Demos, states that in the world, 10 persons, all men, own as much wealth as the 50% of the bottom population. Indonesia is not the only one of the most unequal countries in the world. It also has a very poor social state. Its political and economic system enables the accumulation of convertible resources. This accumulation is illustrated by the immense power held by a small number of oligarchies. They own the media, think tanks, political parties, etc. Digitalism enables them an amplification of their narrative effects through nudge-oriented techniques designed to influence the behavior and decision-making of the citizens. It is what Louis Althusser states as an ideological state apparatus that institutions such as education, media, etc. are formally outside of state control, but they serve to transmit the values of the state. In front of the authoritarian digital echo chambers, there is a weakness of the popular coalitions, and it is precisely a main strategy of the people in power: to divide, to rule, to fragment the counter-narratives to those of individual success and frenetic consumption. This is why we analyze that for social movements, the most important point at this stage is to try to reconstruct a systemic narrative and to show how the social state and the redistribution of wealth, for example, through progressive tax, constitute a systemic transformation of capitalism. This system is opposed to the centralized and authoritarian state socialism experienced in the Soviet bloc in the 20th century. It is to a large extent a continuation of the social, fiscal, and legal transformations that have taken place in many countries over the past century, although it must be remembered that these transformations were achieved at the cost of power struggles, popular mobilizations, and multiple crises and moments of tensions. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Mbak Truly, Mas Gabriel, and Mbak Sarah for the presentation. We now understand better about social movement from many perspectives to reflect the current digital movements, especially during the pandemics, which catalyze authoritarian tendencies and creates new deals such as cyber physical systems. And then we move into the last presenter will be Mas Fajar, the executive director of LP3ES. Mas Fajar, without further ado, the screen is yours. Mas Fajar.
Thank you, Elvitra. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm happy to join this discussion since it's very important and meaningful for me. Could meet in discussion among many scholars and activists across countries, I think, yeah. I'd like to ask your permission, Mbak Elvitra, to share my screen. Still disabled.
Mr. Gulam, could you please?
I did, Mas Fajar. Please.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Is it okay, my screen?
Yeah.
Yes.
Looks great.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Responding to the proposed theme, I think I hope I could to provide small contribution during this discussion regarding the challenge of democracy that we are facing today in Indonesia context. But it's in a narrow perspective, focusing on the polarization in politics, I think, yeah. As we already know that our democracy is facing many problems. One of the causes, in my opinion, is that the political polarization that happened after the presidential election in 2014. Firstly, I will present the background. I think we still remember that it is the election with the tough political competition because there are only 2 candidates who are contesting at the time. We also note that many people were worried about Pak Prabowo, who is the one of the candidates, since he has a poor record not only because of his military background, but also his bad image in this relation with us in Indonesia as the activists. Yeah, Pak Prabowo was also associated with kidnapping and also New Order and Sandana family and etc. You can name it. So that many civil society activists at the time took a firm position to support Pak Jokowi by popularizing hashtag I stand on the right side. It's very firm to support Pak Jokowi. Supporting Pak Jokowi is like to be or not to be, because it just happened that his political opponent was Pak Prabowo. Therefore, a political narrative was also developed. It was a way to fight authoritarianism. So, Jokowi's victory is also the victory of democracy over authoritarianism, something like that. I also would like to quote Rostapsel, for example, that he once wrote the Jokowi phenomenon, described Jokowi's journey from the Solo Major and then continued to Jakarta Governor and then presidential candidate. It was like he said, the phenomenon against oligarchies, whether it is political parties, media, and also capital oligarchy. So Jokowi is the enemy of oligarchies at the time. Also, the political competition was very tough due to its head-to-head competition. It was also marked by their loyal supporter, namely Cebong and Kampret. We very familiar with this use of them. Cebong for Pak Jokowi and Pak JK supporter, and then while Kampret is for the opposite, supporter of Pak Prabowo. And then equally important is we also began to recognize the role of buzzer as the time, who become an important proponent of both paths of the candidate. Especially in Pak Jokowi context, I think this buzzer has even become part of this campaign when he ran for the Jakarta regional election on the 2012. Yeah. Next. Actually, political polarization is a normal thing. However, in the context of presidential election in Indonesia, there was what Rostapsel calls in as a paradox. Polarization happened more to create cynicism about trivial and personal attribute things, not to debate their ideas or platform. And also, in fact, we also note that the 2 pairs of candidates actually have no significant difference yet, but polarization makes them seem very different, and it divides society. All of this is due to social media factor in our imagination that shape real world in a reality. Polarization is made in such contrast, boosted by political actors, and to create solid block of support in community groups. Unfortunately, in this situation, our society is still in the low literacy, so that is easily trigger conflict situation. The voter was also become very irrational and emotional when they're dealing with groups that have different political views. I think we can see many examples of this. I took data of Indonesia Democracy Index that it's relevant, I think, that one of its measurement is about freedom of expression. This data is confirmed that our society is quite intolerant with our different opinion. the data show that from year to year, the index is relatively poor. The score is below 60. And also the index of notice that freedom of expression also faces obstacles from the state or government apparatus, but the tension is not as intense as the threats that come from society. One simple indication is marked by the phenomenon in community is the public report. I quote Mas Samar publication. It shows that the public is very active reporting when they disagree. As the illustration, data from the SafeNet in 2019, there were more than 4,000 cases reported by people to the police. And almost 40% of them indicated report of provocative content. Of course, it depicts a situation in society as the political polarization carries over from day to day, I think. We can see in the picture, for example, just for criticizing the local government because of blocking road, a citizen in Semarang was reported and arrested by the police. And also another example, somebody in Kepulauan Riau is considered insulting Jokowi related to the COVID issues, and then he has already been arrested. I think we are very familiar with kind of example of like this. Then I also would like to introduce that the phenomenon of political polarization has actually become a global concern. I quote the Global Risk Report in 2019, for example. Community polarization is one of the most powerful factors being weighted as a risk in various countries, including Indonesia, I think. Although it doesn't exactly point at Indonesia, it seems that some of the indication mentioned in this report about the strengthening of identity politics, Ruli has already mentioned it in the previous presentation. The state that are taking bigger role in controlling public agendas seem to be happening in Indonesia. And then the National Insight Test, as we well known with tes wawasan kebangsaan at KPK, for instance, which we believe it is part of effort to over control KPK, has become the government populist agenda. We notice that it is also supported by many people because it is considered part of effort to moderate employees of KPK. A further indication is that the very central and strong role of the state make them freely practice democracy setengah hati or half-hearted democracy toward liberalism. Next is regarding the very strong role of state. We can see it in the formal political map during last presidential election and it after. In the second period, I think Pak Jokowi is supported by a fat coalition, a very fat coalition, that made his position very strong. Even stronger after that, because of the joining his political opponent, Pak Prabowo and Pak Sandi become part of cabinet. It is also fourth after. Now we can see that Partai Amanat Nasional or PAN also getting closer to the coalition. So the coalition that's supporting the government in DPR is very stable and strong. They control around 82%, the seat of DPR, while the very weak non-government coalition only has around 18% of the seat. The question is, what kind of check and balances mechanism do we expect from this fat coalition like this? Nothing. I think nothing. So we are now have a various political products that are very controversial, starting from the mineral law, mining law, and then also the revision of KPK law, omnibus law, and others, and still counting as possibility. We don't know because they control a very majority in dominant in DPR seat. Yeah. Now, let's talk about civil society in Indonesia now. While the proponent of state are very strong, our civil society is having problems. We feel that the position of our civil society is very weak today. Sorry. According to the Compass survey on February 2020, they confirmed that the weakness of civil society in controlling government policies was triggered by at least two things. Firstly, is about the post-election polarization of society that has made political agenda always face-to-face, berhadapan. We are talking about COVID, it's always face-to-face, berhadapan. Talking, you can name it, always face-to-face. The second is about the public belief that the weakness of society is also caused by the joining of some of our college activists to become government proponent, which then makes the government position stronger and stronger. We now feel that in many public agenda, we are actually dealing with our own friends, whether they come from NGOs, academics, mass organization, or etc. I prefer to call this as the phenomenon of quadrant shifting. This shift from the quadrant of civil society move to the government or state quadrant. And unfortunately, they lose their civil society character after joining the government. In fact, the public really hopes that the role of civil society will continue to exist. Especially, we know that number of main issues mentioned as the priorities, such as overseeing corruption eradication, human rights protection or advocacy, and also legal reform issues, or promoting the values of intolerance. At least the public is still have hope that this can be performed better by civil society in balancing the state. Lastly, I also quote the Compass survey about the confirming the good news. Since there is still hope that our new generation are confirmed interested to involve in civil society activities. Generation Z and millennials confirm the majority of their number to be involved. I think this is like an oasis in the middle desert that we can support from a new generation of young people to continue that keep the pillar of civil society. And I think we still have hope to make a close coordination and also consolidation among civil societies actors, I think, in the next future. And I think that's it. Mbak Sita, I'll stop here and we will continue with the discussion, I think. Thank you. Selamat sore. Yes.
Okay, thank you, Mas Fajar, for the presentation. Now we move into the Q&A session. Okay, Mas Wijaya, you want to say something?
No, I just want to applause Mas Fajar.
I think you raised your hand.
Just not raise hand, yeah, but I applause. Okay.
All right.
Should be like this, Mas.
Okay. There is one question from Stu in the chat box. But Stu, you want to say it directly or?
But meanwhile, if there's something I want to say, selamat datang, welcome to Pak Ismit Haddad, the founder of LB3GS. Selamat datang, Pak Ismit.
Welcome, Pak Ismit. Salam sehat selalu.
Then Mbak Stu.
Okay, thank you, Mbak Elsitra. My question is for the first presenter team, but if Mr. Fajar want to answer it, it would be great. And my response and my question is the idea of systematic movement is straight, but what we face today is ignorant government. Then whatever we do, they will ignore, like the omnibus and now RUU PKS. Then how we face it? The power of democracy was disobeyed and ignored by the government. And then what do you think about it? Thank you.
Okay, I see in the chat box one also Miss Wan also say something. Do you want to deliberate your argument?
I just want to add. I just want to add the on Miss S2 Putri's point, okay, because she mentioned that the Indonesian government is ignorance. Okay, it is in contrast to Malaysian government, as I said many times. Okay, the voices of citizens are so powerful, and our government today, it has a razor thin majority, 114 seats compared to 100 seats. Okay, just 4 seats more than the opposition. So that's why they are so afraid of the citizens and opposition. So that's why recently almost every time they make a decision, then they make U-turn and revoke, make decision, U-turn, revoke. Okay, until we are all paid up, with the actions from the government. And Auntie, I just want to share the citizens now, they, because of this unstable government, citizens, they make their own move, like the boycott undi and bendera putih. Okay, let's leave the government, let's us make our own movement. Just sharing, Miss too.
Is that the Lawan movement? Because I know that the newest one is Lawan, right?
Lawan is quite, this is the black movement. The current movement is bendera putih, bendera putih movement, led by the citizen itself.
Okay, interesting. Thank you, Miss Wan, for the explanation. Then maybe Mas Gabriel or Mbak Sarah or Mbak Turuli, which one we want to answer?
Okay, yes, sorry. Yes, I can try to do that because it's a so huge question, and we require some thousands of conference to answer it, and who knows what will happen in the future. But going systemic in the ideas, at least, is can begin right now when you connect the current health crisis to other kinds of dysfunctionments which are institutional, to regulate the decision-making process regarding environmental issues, ecological and political ones. So everything is articulated in the current crisis. It is caused by ecological dysfunctions, wrong ways of producing and consuming, interconnecting globally, and wrong political choices as well. So we are being unable to anticipate and to listen to the scientists and to the will of the citizens, and it is why we are in the current crisis. So it is not a disease that comes from Mars. It is a disease that is caused by human practices and the ecological mainly practices. So this is a first way of going systemic. Another one would be to put together the questions of justice and equality, including environmental justice as well. So from there, there are two things to do. The first one is what to achieve, and the second one is how to achieve it. So along the summer course, there have been many propositions. If we think about that, not only reports about what doesn't go well, but also concrete proposition. For example, shifts which have to be made in terms of cultural, social, fiscal, legal, and institutional changes. Cultural, for Indonesia, it would mean mainly what is linked to identity. We know that in Indonesia there are different identity reference, like religious ones, cultural or territorial or ethnic ones, and national ones. These are the three main identity reference, which are adat, kebangsaan, dan agama. So what we see that the social movements are very fragmented toward the lines of these identities. So what our hope and are linked to the current social movements, we try to be more inclusive and not only to struggle for their own particular interest, but also for the defense of groups which have different interests than us. So this is the first kind of shift that can be made through the cultural dimension. To operate it, we require a proper education, particularly on Indonesian history. We know that it is a main factor of why the consciousness about sorry, because I have no battery, so I am dying. Sorry for that. So I was saying the first thing is the education, popular education about history, and particularly what Jeffrey Winters argued in his closing talk of the Sekolah Demokrasi about the cosmopolitan history of Indonesia. And he was saying that if we want to have pribumi as oligarchs, we have to have Papuan people, because archaeologists already showed that the first occupants of Nusantara were Papuans. So this is a necessity for this popular education. Also, media and digital media regulation or supervision, monitoring by citizen committees. It is very important. So all these aspects cover what I call the cultural dimension. The second one would be the legal, judicial, and executive ones. And another proposition of Jeffrey Winters was to introduce plebs courts when we have the bottom 90% of the populations who can make specific courts to judge particular cases. And regarding this dimension, we also know how important has been KPK to counter corruption. A third one will be a reform of the fundings of the parties and the campaigns. It has already been discussed also by many contributors to the course. And last one is the tax reform. I don't think it has been very discussed, but the implementation of progressive tax would really enable the reduction of inequalities, which is one of the main plights of the undemocratic situation in Indonesia. So how to achieve it? It is what to achieve. First, there is a need for the convergence between movements, and it has to be accompanied with the neutralization of anti-social movements. We know how strong have been the civil groups to struggle against liberal or democratic means in the history of Indonesia. And they have to be neutralized, not by force, but by conviction, education, again, popular education, and through media. So there is a need on one side for convergence, and on the other one for neutralization in the Pacific sense of the term. We need for that alternative media. It was an excellent idea from the students. And also of a political party on the first step at least, because we are still in this institutional system where parties rules. So a party of convergence will be the main asset for social movements in Indonesia, I think, in the current situation. And then, of course, if this party is elected through intensive campaign, there is a need for all the reforms that will lead to what I have mentioned previously. Just to mention, to close my very long explanation on this huge subject, that with Alter C, we would like to reflect on this kind of concrete solutions and how to implement it now, not as activists. I am not an activist, but only as an intellectual exercise on my side. And it has to be done through a dialogue between common citizens who are not strictly politicized, social scientists, and also NGOs, but also public decision makers. And there is a real need for dialogue. And it is what we want to do on the next conference next year. And the third conference will be on the scaling of the programs. We already have a program, how to make it, to implement it micro-locally, or how to scale it up until a national or transnational level. It is what we want to think about. Thank you.
Right. Any speakers who want to answer to the question from Mbak Stu? Maybe Batruli, you want to add some points?
Go ahead, Sarah, after you.
Oh, yeah, Sarah, okay.
Nothing, just emphasizing what Gabriel just said, that a very important point is about convergence. And this is what we wish and what we start doing with Alta C, because Alta C is still very young. And I think I wanted to add what Gabriel just added on the end, so I will be short, but really the convergence of scientists, social scientists, activists, NGOs, decision makers, influencers, and so on is very, very important, because if we turn our backs to each other, then the systemic answer is going too far, I guess. Okay, but that was just to emphasize. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Mbak Sarah. Then Mbak Truli.
Okay, because Gabriel has explained the concept already, so I think I would like to say that I share the same opinion with one of the participants, Pradipa here, about political literacy. I think I totally agree. I think it's important, not only for the people at the ivory tower, but also the people at the grassroots level. So, and I think this kind of summer course is one of the ways to do political literacy. So I hope LP3ES and DIPONEGORO University, friends from other institutions as well, such as CEFNIT, would like to continue, this kind of courses, this kind of movements.
All right.
That's it.
Okay, thank you, Mbak Truli. Then maybe Mas Wija or Mas Fajar. Which one?
Yes, Elcitra, I do agree with the point of Mbak Ayu's question, yeah, because there is this OBN, what we say, ignorant from the government, since they have a fully power in parliament, and also they have influential buzzer, etc. So every time they have their own agenda, it's just go on, and we express our disagree. So they say that please go to Mahkamah Konstitusi to examine the substance, something like. It's a very, very bad democratic situation, I think, and we still have this situation as the challenge, and that's why it's important to make a consolidation. And I also agree with the Pak Gabriel points about the systematic and what we say, effort to make a better consolidation in the civil society and also social movement, something like that. Maestra.
All right, Mas Wija, you want to add?
I have nothing to add, but instead I want to ask question actually to Wan Rohila, yeah, about the situation. What she wrote is very interesting, and we hear very little actually about the experience from Malaysia and Philippines, from other countries in Indonesia in these 2 weeks, right? So I would like to hear from you, Mbak Wan, about the experience in Malaysia. You wrote in the Zoom, yeah, in the chat there, that the government is so weak, yeah, that the people power and the media power is so strong. I think it's really something new for me, because it really quite the opposite of Indonesia. Indonesia, the government is very strong, and they have, or if it's not belong to them, then their supporters are many of them are cyber troops, and they use public opinion manipulation, as I have demonstrated, yeah, in the case in many problematic law to support it. So I wonder if it this thin government also the reason why your last prime minister, yeah, his video singing a song, yeah, about Luka or something is viral in Indonesia, and I intentionally look for that song in YouTube, yeah, and then I know, wow, it's and I feel that your prime minister that resigned sing it better than the actual singer. She sang it with feelings. Do you know the title of the song again?
Which prime minister you are referring to? We have so many recently.
Recently that resigned.
We have
who sang?
Three prime ministers in 3 years.
I guess the last one. PM. The last one, yeah, someone with mustache, and he sang about Luka or something like that. It was posted in the Facebook of Fahri Ali as well. Fahri Ali is one of the senior researchers of LP3S. Is that the reason why this prime minister resigned? I guess this is the last one, the recent one.
I'm not sure about the singing video. I have to search after this. But before this, before the 2008 election, the government was strong. So just like other countries, the resistance, the repression, the authoritarianism. But after 2008, the opposition won with a strong majority, but they failed to fulfill their 100-day manifestos. Since then, people started to complain, and people started to realize that their space to speak up. And after 22 months being in power, the new government was hijacked, and the new prime minister what we call race, and then hijacked and now we have the current prime minister. So I think the main thing that makes us difference is because Indonesia is practicing presidential system, which is quite different with parliamentary system. So we depend heavily on the number of seats, okay, not on the popular votes Pak Jokowi received. So the current government is not the real government. It is legal but illegal. How to put into words, okay? Because it is the frog jumping, okay? They bought the members of parliament. They jumped to the today's government coalition, and they form a very loose government. So that's why they are so they are so afraid of the citizens, especially on SOP on COVID-19. Today they say yes, tomorrow no, then yes, then no, then 2 dose, then 1 dose, then no dose, then they keep on making U-turn. So we as the political observer, I found this very healthy actually. I found this very healthy because our voices are heard. Okay. I'm not sure about other experts, but this is very healthy.
Yeah. Yes. Mbak who is it? Wrote in the chat box, Mbak Novia. About the name is
Anwar
Ibrahim.
Anwar Ibrahim is not our prime minister. Is our opposition leader.
Okay. Yeah. So he's never been in the position of prime minister.
No, he is called PM Tepi. You know the term, the Facebook term, the direct messenger. je PM tepi, so PM stands for Prime Minister tepi. So people make cynical to him.
Oh, and Mas Anthony said Muhyiddin Hasin.
Muhyiddin Yassin is the one who been trolled during his visit, his Indonesian official visit.
Okay. Why don't your government or Prime Minister use the social media? I mean, to gain legitimacy from the people. Why don't you use?
They even Pak Wija, they even train almost 10,000 cyber troopers, and they I wrote in the paper sent to you. Around 10,000 cyber troopers under Jabatan Komunikasi J, and it was told that each of them will be paid 3,000 to 4,000 a month. But still, they failed to fight with the the netizens itself.
I think we have to learn from your netizen. Right. Right, you have done it, even you have done it, because our organic civil society in the public sphere, in the digital public sphere, is very weak. So what unites, what makes the citizen are so strong? Because you have certain issue that can bring together, I think, all of the elements of the civil society. How did you do it? Did you research about it?
Yeah, in Malaysia, there are only two most sensitive things. If you know how to play these two, you are the winner. Okay, either in the social sphere or in the the first religious and racial cards. Okay, so any government they have to be very careful with religious and racial cards. So if they are unable to manage these two, they will be they will be attacked by the citizens.
Okay. So there's something related to identity that unites the citizen. That's what you mean. Yeah. Okay. Thank you. I would like to know more, but later, I guess. Perhaps
later.
Together about it.
Yeah.
Mas Damar, you want to answer the question about ignorant government or respond to the Mrs. Wan? Mas Damar?
No, Elsitra.
Okay, so we move to next question from Edi Hara. I have a question to Mas Fajar. Mas Edi, you want to say your question directly?
Okay, thank you. Yeah, if I'm not wrong, I think it was mentioned by Mas Fajar that Indonesian civil society is quite weak because of the last general elections, I think. So, and listening to Mrs. Wan Rohila, in Malaysia, I think the civil society is quite strong, and the government responsive to the demands of the civil society. So is it something to do with the election system or the government system? Over there, they have a district system where the member of parliament directly responsible to the people. Or do you have any explanation about that? Thank you.
All right, Mas Fajar, please.
Yeah, I think we can control what's the political agenda in parliament. So it will be better if we can set up our own agenda from civil society side. I think one first, and it's a prioritize is how to end this period of political polarization. I think anyone elected to the president after we support it, after we provide support, must be controlled, right? And then we have to define civil society as the part of the third sector, completing state and also private sector. So it's important to redefine the important pillars of the civil society. And also, I think the civil society human resources are still weak also, AB. That's why it needs to be strengthened. We have a good reference in our early era in, I think, IT, yeah, in IT. Maybe Pak Isbet can explain better about the civil scientist era that are very strong to make dealing with the government, something like that. What I want to like to propose is how to fix the fragile structure of the civil society. We have to define the roadmap of society. Because we don't know after FTA, so we go where, something like that, and the politics is the part of civil society's roadmap that he will to address after we finish the civil society, something like that. It's very fragile, Pak. And the last thing is about consolidation. I do agree with Pascal and also other speaker that consolidation to make a better network, a better project that promoting and empowering the democracy pillar is very, very important. So and also we have to empower the system of democracy. Democracy is about the system, not personal. So we know is facing about ini orang baik, so have to support and then to be elected again, something. It's not proper in democracy. So we have to refine the democracy system, and also everyone who elected as the president and DPR, etc. So they have to comply with the system and have to provide their concern about a public agenda, something like that, Pak. Yes. Mbak Elsitra.
All right. Pak Edihara, is the answer from Mas Fajar already enough?
Yeah, I think okay. Probably regarding Malaysian system, probably not area Pak Fajar, probably yes.
Yes, it's different system, Pak, about Indonesia and Malaysia. Yes, we can compare.
Okay.
All right, then we move to the closing statement because the time is running out. So the first closing statement, I think, will be from Altersi. Which one? Mas Gabriel, I think.
Okay, thank you so much. But I can share the microphone with Sarah and Tori, of course.
Oh, yeah.
We have the statu quo here, so.
Let's share it.
You want me to speak first?
Come on, you're the male.
Okay. Yeah, but first, thank you so much for LPTGIS for organizing the event. It's very important, I think. I am very impatient also to have the feedback from the students about the organization, the number of the days, etc. It will be crucial for us to better organize the next year summer course. But I would like to applaud very strong for LP3S. It's a very big challenge to organize that, and it was extremely well done. Thank you also to Pawija and Gulam and all the people who contributed to the event. Altersi just played a very small part there. Truly and Sarah were much more active than me, so thank you to them also for being so active. We also asked for the students to send us some drafts So we will have other exchanges after the summer course. I think that during the year that is coming until the next summer course, it will be important to maintain the contact with the students, and also to organize maybe 1 or 2 webinars on the theme that will be treated next year, apart from the regular webinars from LPTGIS, particularly to set up like a kind of transnational dialogue. We would like for next year summer course to be more transnational, and we see how interesting it is for everyone, how stimulating it is to know what happens in Malaysia, but also I think about the Philippines, Thailand. We have also someone from Myanmar. I think that this dialogue is very inspiring for us, and it enables us to also point out some aspects that doesn't come in mind. For example, the role of identity in the construction of politics is very different in Indonesia and Malaysia. So many things will appear, apart from the possibility for us to create a transnational network at our small scale. So I really hope that they will be active during this year to build this kind of transnational dialogue. Thank you so much once again.
All right, thank you. Then Mbak Sarah or Mbak Truly, you want to add something? Mbak Sarah. All right.
Many thanks indeed to LP3AS, to Universitas Diponegoro in Semarang. I think it has been an honor, really, to be associated to this event. Being co-host is kind of real adventure, and I must confess that I personally enjoyed it a lot. I learned a lot too. Again, I hope, like Gabriel did, that this will foster the transnational connection we are talking about, actually, since we are connected through this summer course now. It's the end of the summer course. It doesn't mean that it's the end of interacting together. We still aim to the gathering of activists, social scientists in general, decision maker, and so on. So this is something we'll need to build on the long term. Of course, it's not going to be in one day, so it starts here. We're looking forward for the output we've been talking about with Mas Wija, and I really hope that we'll find a shape that we can share and implement, hopefully, all together. Again, I would like to thank you, all of you, for your participation. I have a special mention for the mothers and the virtual babies, although also the fathers who have virtual babies, and despite the virtual babies could attend the summer course. I think it's very specific. Hopefully next year we'll be free from lockdowns and all these kind of things. It's a wish. And again, thank you very much on behalf of RTC and also on my own behalf.
Okay, Mbak Truly.
Yes, what can I say more?
I don't
Okay. Okay, so I think I just add a little bit. Thank you for all participants for your enthusiasm, and tell you the truth, I also learned a lot from you. Really, I learned together with you. So thank you again. And I would like to thank really to Elsitra, Danang, and Debbie. You're behind the scene, but I know you're working there, you know, so for preparing, for organizing all of this. So thank you again. And of course, for Gulam and Wija, and Diponegoro University, LP3AS, thank you for organizing this, how can I say, a very dynamic courses. And finally, it's nice to meet you, Bapak Ismit Haddad, finally, even though online, and stay safe. And Bapak Teguh Yuwono, thank you so much. Okay, that's it.
Then from Mas Damar, I think, for closing statement.
Yeah, since the beginning when Mas Wija contacting me as director, executive director of SafeNet, I'm telling him that I'm actually a little bit shaky and also shy because I'm not an academician. So our organization actually always some say that we are activists, but some say that we are very frontal, very vocal on pursuing our objective to protect the digital rights in Southeast Asia countries. So I think in the end of the summer course, I would like to thank you first to Mas Wija for the opportunity that SafeNet can be involved on the summer course, and also for LP3AS, Mas Fajar, and all the team behind Elsitra, lalu, and also Undip, Pak Gulam. I would like to express that this is not. I'm hoping that this is not the first time SafeNet involved in the summer course. We are expecting that in the next year when you had the summer course, you will invite us again. Thank you for letting us sharing our expertise on digital security with Mas Imal and then my team. That's something that what we already had in our mind to how to collab with the academician, and you bring this opportunity to us. So that's the first one. The second one, I would like to express my feeling also to those of you who been participate as the students of the summer course. This is something that I'm picturing in the future, that a lot of more academicians involved in the digital rights issue will help a lot to the how to fix the social media and internet in the region. So having you here, not only from Indonesia but also around the world, is giving me a hope that this is the beginning of the something that Mas Wija and me already wrote in our paper, in our presentation, that the resistance grows, and summer course is part of the resistance. Your thoughts, your vision, and your analysis on the situation on the Southeast Asia countries related with the digital and democracy will give a lot of positive impact. I believe it will give a positive impact. So thanks again, everyone. And also nice to meet you, Pak Ismit Haddad. This is our first time. So I'm so glad to see you healthy, stay safe, and hopefully we can meet again and maybe in the near future. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Mas Damar. We move to the another speakers. I think Mas Fajar, you want to say the closing statement?
No, Elsitra, just enough. It's okay.
Okay,
yes.
And then Mas Wija, you want to add the closing statement?
Yeah. Okay. Actually, I already expressed my gratitude, in the beginning of this closing ceremony, but I would like to say it again, because I think I'm really grateful, with this event. So thank you, everyone. Grateful because a lot of things. I guess the first thing is actually that I and Pak Gulam, and Pak Teguh here from DIPONEGORO University, and Mas Fajar, from LP3AS, we didn't expect that we will have co-hosts, right, in the very beginning, right? But then that SafeNet and also Alter-C join us with, I think they give their heart in this event too. It's really something, and we are really touched, not just because that we're doing it together, but it means that we have a vision together for the future. And also the way the participants stay, all of you guys that you're staying with us, perhaps you noticed that I never mentioned the participants as students, yeah, because for you, you're not students, I'm not the teacher. We're here together, we create forum, and we want to do something together in the future. Maybe not always something heroic like, you know, social movement or revolution. We can maybe collaborate for something simple like doing webinars together, doing research together, you know, doing writing together, right? So that means a lot. And of course, I would like to thank Mas Fajar, LP3GS, from LP3GS as the executive director of LP3GS, and Pak Teguh Yuwono here, who will close the event together with Pak Ismit Haddad, and the founder of LP3GS. Without them, this event will not happen. And special thank, actually, I would like to express to Pak Zunoan Skulamanar. I think he is the one who owned the Zoom link, right? If there's no Zoom link from him, then we're not exist now. So thank you, Pak Gulam. I think I will not. I will stop here. I cannot say more. Elsitra, I return the screen to you, so we can start the official closing by Pak Teguh Yuwono and Pak Ismit Haddad.
Indeed. Okay, thank you, Mas Wija. Then, as Mas Wija has already mentioned, we will listen to the official closing speech from two important people here with us, Mr. Teguh Yuwono from Diponegoro University. Please.
Thank you, Elsitra. Ladies and gentlemen, Bapak Ibu, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Please be over you. I would like to express and say thank you to everybody. Pak Ismit Haddad, thank you very much for this very wonderful, and I think not only wonderful but also strong cooperation between Universitas Diponegoro and LP3GS. I would like to say and express my deep thank you to you, to all of LP3GS and teams. Also Mas Fajar, I think also from LP3GS, who already together fight together with Wijayanto and Gulam from my university. I think thank you very much. There are many people I have to mention, I think, in this occasion. I would like to mention also Prof. Didi Rabini from LP3GS, Dr. Gabriel Fasal, I think from RTC. Thank you very much. I'm, I think, very happy and having more perspective on the international, international knowledge. And then I think also Prof. Budistono from Universitas Diponegoro, and then Prof. Merlina Lim from Canada, Wijayanto, my little brother. And then I think my friend also from Gajah Mada University, Puskrido Ambardi, PhD, Erlambang Wirateman from Airlangga University, and then Teddy Dwi Laksono from Watchdog Indonesia, Prof. Ward, I think we just close friend from Netherlands. And then Dr. Widya Sardini from Universitas Diponegoro, Dr. Laila Khalid, Imal from SafeNet, and also I see to Dr. Rina Martini from Universitas Diponegoro, and also I think our colleague from Gajah Mada, Malinda Safirani, and then Ismail Fahmi, I think this is also familiar and a famous name. Professor Masaki Okamoto from Kyoto University, Kameda Kahagiro from Japan as well. Elsitra, I have to mention you. You are, I think, my student who already shown the capacity in international level, and I hear that you are going to Japan in the very short time. Yeah, good luck for your future. And then Zamzam Fauzanafi also, Zatun Sastramijaya from Netherlands, Fiona Suwana from USA, University of South Australia. my close university when I was completed my master degree in Flinders, and then Ross Teppel also from Ross Teppel from Australia as well, from ANU. Dr. Gabriel Fasal, I already mentioned you. Dr. Sarah, thank you very much. The name that I love very, very much, truly. This is Indonesian, but I would say this is international citizen name. Yeah, the combination of English, Germany, and Indonesian name. I think I like it, this name very much. And then Juniarto from SAFE. And I think many lecturers, or let's say speakers, if Wijayanto mentioned that this is not a student lecturers, but participant and speakers. So I would like to say thank you very much. Mas Damar, I think I would also like to say thank you for you. I think your contribution is very big to the university, and I would like to mention that next year in 2022, this program study under Wijayanto's leadership will be assessed by international accreditation of FIBA from Germany. And I think this activity is very good in supporting this accreditation internationally of our department. Within 2 weeks now, this is just working now, just happening now. We have international accreditation from Germany for FIBA for undergraduate program, actually for communication studies and business administration studies. And Wijayanto will be more and more. I think will be. I think next year for Wijayanto and Gulam, because you are the the sole dais of our department for next year to fight again the international accreditation. And this is, I think, from our cooperation. One again, Pak Ismet Adat from your institution. I do hope we will be able to continue, not only stop in this cooperation, but we and then able to continue for next year and for the next time. So Sarah as well, Gabriel, don't please stay and happy working with us in order to strengthen our global perspective. And I know the topic that already talking in this summer course is very interesting. And democracy is something never-ending topics, maybe until the end of the world. Democracy, digital politics, and now maybe online government, virtual government, virtual politics, something like that. I think something that very demanding, very challenging topic for our next summer course. That maybe Wijayanto and Gulam and also LPTKS, maybe Mas Damar also from the government institution at Jakarta can join again for continue the program. Once again, everybody, on behalf of the faculty, I would like to say thank you very much, and I'm very happy, and I do hope this will strengthen our cooperation, not only for now, but also for next time. Thank you very much. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you very much. I'm enough now. I give it back to you, Elsita.
Okay, thank you, Pak Gulam. Then the next official closing speech will be delivered by Pak Ismet Haddad, the founder of Petro IS. Pak Ismet Haddad, the screen is yours.
Thank you very much. Friends, ladies and gentlemen, all colleagues that have been participating in this innovative and wonderful summer course. To be frank, when Vija asked me to attend and said making a closing speech, I apologize. I misunderstood what you asked me to do in this event. So, to be honest, I haven't slept one night because of that request. Because he said it's a speech. Well, anyway, I prepared something, but forget it, to be put in for this event. Because basically everything has been said by everybody, and they said it very well. While I'm a late comer in following this event, I've not followed the previous sessions and courses. All I know is all are secondhand information, not in my own, with my own experience. But in short, I'm very proud of all of you, especially Bung Wijayanto and Bung Fajar, and of course, the support of Pak Teguh Yuwono and all the other colleagues from SafeNet.
Yes, SafeNet.
SafeNet and all are the supporters of this event, of this.
And Alter C, Pak Smith, Alter C, friends. Alter C, friends.
Alter
So
C, friends. Yeah, sorry.
And Alter C, yes, it's okay.
It's never occurred in my mind that this something like this can and has happened, which is remarkable. I myself, my background, I grew up as an activist. I'm not an academician. I'm not scientist. I was almost half of my lifetime dedicated to activism, social, environmental, and political activism, pursuing public cause. And I published also a journal, Prisma. I was the first editor and publisher of that journal, with the back mind to nourish critical thinking, critical assessment, and critical action that can be translated, critical thought that can be translated into action. That's why in my maybe it's too hard to be called career, I've been supporting to create not less than 25 civil society organizations. One of them is LP3S. And there are many others, the Kahauti Foundation, many, more than 25. The idea is in a democratic country, which is developing nation, it is not enough to have only ideas, to have only discourses. Ideas must be put into action. And Indonesia today, and I think in many other developing countries, there are crisis, social political crisis, which make democracy, like all what you said during all this process, is having democratic regression. That's why this phenomena cannot be let it just go like that. There must be a way to revive, to regenerate democracy, which is declining and maybe, I don't know what. I know this is not only happened in Indonesia, I know many other countries, including even the Western countries. But having an education, having this content like this, I think it can and it should revive democracy. That's why I really appreciate the title or the theme of this summer school, which is discussing democracy beyond normal discourse. Because social activism cannot be effective if you just use normal way of doing it, or in other words, just business as usual. So you are right. Democracy is not just a matter of having democratic way and institutions like election, political parties, House of Representatives, and all the other normative things, which in fact, they are all now failed to deliver not only welfare, but even that essence of democracy itself. That's one thing. The other thing is that is a very conventional and very normative way of pursuing democracy, because the world today is now facing sorry, not disturbance. Vijay, can you help me?
Disruption. Disruption.
Disruption. That's it. Yeah. I found when you talk democracy, there are three great four disruptions that we are now facing. One is Industrial Revolution 4.0. The second is the global warming and climate change, climate crisis. Thirdly, it is sorry, I'm always thirdly.
Is it the pandemic?
Pandemic. Yeah, sorry, thank you. Pandemic COVID-19, and fourthly, democratic regression. And you never realize although pandemic, climate crisis, or even industrial revolution does not have anything to do with democracy. They are all challenged with effects both the process and the goal of democracy itself. That's why, but we are now in a different world. That's why the way you address is beyond the normal discourse. There are other issues which is challenging us, among others, environment, of course. Climate change has nothing to do with climate, gender, citizenship, corruption, human rights, and all that. And to have a social activism by civil society, you have also to address all those challenges and issues. And that's why the future of civil society movement, again, must be different than in the past. Don't copy my way of doing it 50 years ago, 40 years ago. There are much other bigger challenges and champions that we can support to do that. The youth, students, issue on gender, environment, the marginalized, literacy in information technology, the cosmopolitan people. There are all those new arenas, which so far the millennials have all the potential, and yet they may not have the roadmap to do so. And I think your summer course hopefully can answer all those questions in the future. I'm proud now that I'll be part of this movement, and I hope you allow me to continue to be part of yours, and let's move together to make it really happen sometime in the future. Finally, I will try to repeat my thanks to all of you, each one of you who have been participating actively and enthusiastically till the end of this. And I don't think it should be the end of this. Let's continue together, and all the best. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Pak Ismet, for the closing speech. So, Mas Wija, do you have another announcement regarding the article abstract?
No, actually, I just want to say thanks to Pak Teguh and Pak Ismet again for making time to joining us amid your activities, and for the very insightful closing remark. And I think everyone really agrees with what Pak Ismet and Pak Teguh says, that this is just a start of our future, hopefully future and strategic collaboration across boundaries. So we have WhatsApp group, right? And we have a writing project that the host and co-host will be examining as well. And there will be our first collaboration, I think. And of course, like in every other very important event, we need to do a photo session together.
Yay!
Let's do it. Please open your cam so we can have a memory. It's a. I hope it's a beautiful memory for you guys.
let us open our camera, Mas Danang. Please make yourself appear. Yeah. Okay. Yes.
This is my first time on the same frame with Pak Ismit Haddad. So
yes.
I will.
On my count, 1, 2, 3. Excellent. And then once more. For the second screen, 1, 2, 3. Excellent. Thank you.
Mas Gulam.
Thank you so much.
One more
Yes.
with a crazy style. No?
Freestyle, right?
Freestyle.
I like this.
Example, please.
Yeah, I think truly is the
waving hand or
the woman for
okay.
it.
With
Like
with
this.
the freestyle. 1, 2, 3. Okay, first screen, and then I will move to the second screen. Nice of you. 1, 2, 3. Awesome. Thank you.
Pak Gulam, the very last one, Pak Gulam.
Yes.
Now, yes, L. L mean literacy. Yeah. So please, everyone does L, right? I think we all agree.
Good idea. Good idea,
Literacy,
Wijan.
right?
Genius.
Including me, yeah.
My fingers.
Yeah. Okay. I can do that. No, I can do 1, 2, 3. Okay. This is for the first screen, and then I will move to the second screen. 1, 2, 3.
Yeah.
Okay.
Cool.
Done.
Thank you, everybody. Pak Ismit Haddad, thank you very much.
Thank you, Pak Teguh.
Thank you, everyone. Terima kasih.
Thank you, everybody.
Pak Gulam,
thank
will
you,
send the certificate.
Estrelita. Your name is very unique.
Terima kasih, Bapak. Thank you so much.
Pak Teguh, kapan-kapan kita ngobrol ya.
Yes.
Ya, Pak Ismit, thank you. Gabriel, terima kasih, Gabriel. Thank you very much.
Sama-sama, Pak. Terima kasih banyak.
Siap. Mas Fajar, thank you, Mas.
Yap, Pak Teguh. Salam sehat selalu buat semuanya.
Thank you, everybody. Okay.
Antoni ya, Mbak Nina, Mbak Novia, Mbak Savina,